All right. Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. Krista Pasco, Deputy Clerk's filling in tonight for our clerk. Thank you for being here, Krista. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the council meeting for Monday, October the 6th, 2025. This is the Clearview Township Council meeting. Council did meet at 4 o'clock this afternoon for a meeting in-camera session. And then we have returned for the 5:30 session here with you all in the chambers. So we have members here in our chambers, as well as members of our staff, and all the members of council are present. So it's great to have everybody here. I'd like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. And we acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Tietanati, and the Wendat, and is the home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples as part of the intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. And at this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships, and ask the Creator for guidance in all that we do. And as always, it's my honor and privilege to say the land acknowledgement for the Township of Clearview as the mayor, and I do so voluntarily. And we'll now move on in our agenda, council. We did have item number 1, which was our closed session. So we're going to move directly to item number 2, which is approval of the agenda for 5:30 p.m. Be it resolved that council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated October the 6th, 2025 as presented. Councillor Deneen, thank you. Mr. Walker, seconder, thank you. And is there any questions on the agenda for tonight? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? Thank you. That carries. Thank you so much. Declarations of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Does anybody have any declarations for our council meeting? Nope. Okay. If anything comes up during the meeting, please bring it forward and we will deal with it right away. At this point, then we'll go to our public participation period, which is item number 4. We do have members in the audience, so I'm going to read the entire script. It says, please be advised that comments and views expressed under public participation period are not the views of the Township of Clearview Council or the administration. Public participation is limited to 15 minutes. Each person is limited to 5 minutes. Questions or comments are to be directed to the mayor, and questions shall not refer to the personnel matters, litigation or potential litigation, or planning matters that have already had a public meeting, or any item considered confidential. And for those members of the public not able to attend the meeting in person, written public participation can be provided through the township's portal. Written comments shall be received prior to noon the Friday before the regularly scheduled council meeting. And as always, please share the time with your fellow citizens. Now, we did, Madam Deputy Clerk, I understand we did receive some items. Is that correct?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, there were 2 items received this week.
Okay. I have them printed off here in front of me. So we'll start with those and then we'll get to the opportunity for the public in the audience here. The first item, looks like Mr. Dave Witzka has submitted these comments. I'll bet I read the entire thing and then I have quite a few answers for him that have been provided to me by our staff to help understand where these questions are going. Seeing as how the taxpayers are 100% funding the purchase of 243 Brock Street, who did the evaluation on the property? Who is the Clearview Township Realtor and what was their commission? Was a pre-home inspection required by the TD Bank prior to mortgage funding? If not, why? And what future costs to make it AODA compliant? And what future costs will be to make the property structurally sound? Mr. Witzka, evaluation on the property. Stuart Milhausen Appraisals was the evaluator. Clearview Township Realtor, Remax, Leo Wheel. Commission, 2.5%. In regards to the home inspection by the TD Bank, not required. And the reason will be discussed later when we receive this report. And what will the future cost to make it AODA compliant? Not required. And what the future cost will be to make the property structurally sound? Not required. Thank you, Mr. Witzka, for that question. Further, there's another item here from Mr. Dave Witzka. Seeing after the Mississauga propane train derailment disaster and the Hagersville tire fire disaster, what safety protocols and contingencies are in place for the battery storage facility on Industrial Road? Prevailing winds will contaminate a huge swath of town in the event of a fire. Will there be fire suppression equipment on site? Mr. Witzka, we're about to receive a presentation in regards to the battery storage facility by the proponents. And so from that, I hope to learn some of the answers here that will be provided to you through their presentation. I will not speak for them, as I do not have any idea what their plans would be for this. I would like to note that the Mississauga propane train derailment and the Hagersville tire disaster seems like they were decades ago. And there are plenty other disasters that have happened across Canada that would be closer to relevant to this discussion. But thank you for highlighting those, as both of those were handled very effectively and safely by both fire departments and the Ministry of Environment. That's all I'll say on those two items. So at this time, I'll look to, is there anyone from the floor who would like to come forward to the podium and ask a question here to council? At this time, the microphone is open. I'm looking at this crew of 6 over here. Oh, hi. Hi, MK. There's other people here. Does anybody would like to come forward? They're all smiling. Nope. Okay, our presenters are on this side of the floor, so I don't imagine they're going to need a question. So at this time, then we'll close the public participation period if no one wants to come forward. Thank you, everyone. All right, council, we're going to move on in our agenda. Item number 5 is the delegation of presentations. We're going to start with item 5.1, the Simcoe County Greenbelt Coalition. We have our presentation here tonight by Bernard Pope and David Jeffrey. They're here representing the Simcoe County Greenbelt Coalition. So I'll invite you gentlemen to come to the microphone right up here. The microphone is in the off position, which has a red. So if you press the button, it turns green, and then you can test it out there. All right. See if it's working.
We are green.
Okay. Nice to see you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor Measure, council, and staff. My name is Bernard Pope, and I live at our farm at Bass Lake in Ormadati. Every time I present to municipal councils, I feel like I'm with friends. Many will agree that the important decisions made at the municipal level have great weight and importance to the community. One should be comfortable in a place like this, and I am. I've offered greetings to the staff this afternoon because I value their wisdom and input in the governance of the township. Their guidance to the council should always be in high regard. Therefore, the hope is that my short message is heard and understood by both council and staff. I've been involved in agriculture all of my life, working in Innisfil with Dad as an apprentice in Lacombe, Alberta, and at our farm in Ormadati. I've served on the board of the Simcoe County Federation of Agriculture, the Policy Advisory Committee at the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, and lately as chair of Ontario Farmland Trust. I'm currently serving on our Policy and Education Committee and our Land Securement and Stewardship Committee. In 2021, the federal consensus revealed that we're losing at least 319 acres of farmland a day to various forms of development. Our executive director at Ontario Farmland Trust, Martin Strathoff, extrapolated that at this devastating pace, we would be out of farmland in 2100. Out of farmland in 2100. Many folks do not realize that in Canada, there's only 5% of good farmland, with most of that in Southern Ontario, and that can be seen from the top of the CN Tower. How many folks understand that Ontario farmers and ranchers produce over 200 commodities in their production? This is the reason that Ontario Farmland Trust joined the Simcoe County Greenbelt Coalition as a founding member. This collaborative association seeks to advance protection of this farmland and the support of conservation areas and wetlands on any farm. We understand that we must have this farmland to support farmers, farm families, as a base for long-term farm enterprises. The security that would grow the businesses of agriculture would be shared with other businesses in the community. David Jeffrey is the chair of the Simcoe County Greenbelt Coalition, and I've been extremely impressed with his strong leadership in community and social development. As an example, he was the founding executive director of Chigamick Community Health Center in Midland. Currently is focusing on presenting the very valid reasons that the Greenbelt should be protected and expanded. Please listen carefully to David as he eloquently argues that this protection is absolutely necessary.
Thank you, Bernard. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Thanks, Bernard. Mayor, council, staff. Pleasure to be here. As Bernard mentioned, I'm a voluntary board of director chair for the Simcoe County Greenbelt Coalition. I will be talking to the slides, so we can go to the beginning. Don't mind. Thank you. I live in Tiny Township, been there 8 years, 10 years prior to that in Midland, and I raised my daughters in Medante before it was Oro Medante for 20 years. Bernard mentioned, I was the founding executive director of the Chigamet Community Health Center. And prior to that, I ran that for 12 years. Prior to that, I was involved in the Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society, national conservation organization, and particularly involved in one of the projects, which was the protection of the Nahanni River Valley watershed, 35,000 square kilometers in Northwest Territories. Huge win for Canadians. But I want to speak to you today about the Greenbelt and ask you to consider a resolution that we are proposing. Next slide, please. So who is the coalition? Who are we? We're a collection of 47 grassroots organizations across the county. Some from your region are groups like Clearview Sustainability Network, the Escarpment Corridor Alliance, Friends of Simcoe Forests, Huronia Land Conservancy, Ontario Farmland Preservation, Bernard's part of that, Nottawasaga Steelheaders, Ontario Headwaters Institute. And what we're trying to do is establish a space and protections so that residents can thrive in the county. We can respond to the challenges of climate change in a good way, that we are resilient, we have a just and able community that better supports the future generations. That's the intent of our coalition. And we advocate for stronger land use and watershed protection, such as the Greenbelt. And we know a Greenbelt possibility for you, and you're part of one here as the Escarpment Corridor runs through your backyard here. The Greenbelt had a big impact on us. Next slide, please. The almost 2 million acres of the Greenbelt provide all kinds of incredible benefits. So $71 million of annual carbon offsets, 9.6 billion annual economic impact, 2.3 billion in annual worth of ecological services, and 224 million annual worth of flood prevention services. Next slide, please. And you can see here a shot here of the current Greenbelt structure, and there's the Escarpment Corridor that runs out through your backyard, and that in Simcoe County, the southern edge of the county is part of the Greenbelt. And when there were conversations in the late Wynne government in 2018, there was discussion of expansion of the Greenbelt. And Simcoe County, large portions of Simcoe County, particularly the various moraines across the county, which are the water towers, if you can think of them that way, for many of the groundwater wells that many farms and residences exist on here. So there's an opportunity here, I think, for the municipalities in this region. Next slide, please. Here's the opportunity. When the Greenbelt was enacted into law, there was to be a review every 10 years. There was one done in 2015, and out of that conversation in 2018 was this conscious notion of expansion, which really didn't take place. The government changed, I think, at that time. But this year is also the 10-year anniversary for a review. So the opportunity here is in encouraging the province to do a thorough review, is to establish some planning certainty for your municipality, environmental and watershed protections, and agricultural system preservations. There's possibilities here. Next slide, please. So the being a Greenbelt champion, you can, for instance, support the Greenbelt review motion that we're proposing here today. Work with your local MPPs to ensure an evidence-based, thorough review takes place. Learn more about the Greenbelt and how it could benefit your community here. Now, although Simcoe County does not sit fully in the Greenbelt boundaries right now, its environmental features, particularly water and farmland, are closely tied to the region's long-term resilience. We know that from lots of research. 2018, I mentioned the proposal for expansion. But nature does not note any artificial boundaries. Carbon floats all over the countryside. And for example, when there's a water impact in our community, let's say flooding to the south or north of the greenbelt, that impact is felt region-wide regardless of where the greenbelt is. We want to think about that. We need to make sure we're doing everything we can to protect the many important features we live near. The motion we're proposing also references the 2015 Coordinated Land Use Planning Review, which recommended expanding the greenbelt into key hydrological areas such as moraines, headwater systems, better protect water, which I've mentioned already. I live in Tiny, just down from French's Hill, and there's a long conversation been happening there about the water underground there and being studied for 3 decades by a couple of scientists who have applied for a grant to the Natural Sciences Engineering and Research Council of Canada to study the groundwater structures, understand why that water is some of the cleanest in the world. And we think that if we do that study, we'll be able to extrapolate the results of that into other regions to understand ground structures and why water is the way it is, what we need to do to protect it here. The resolution we're asking you to consider is not endorsing any particular expansion, but about ensuring the review proceeds in a meaningful way. We're asking the province, with you as a partner, to conduct a review with rigor, with scientific depth, and to sow the seeds for expansion of the Greenbelt. Municipalities like yours can help shape a review that protects farmland, protects water, ultimately ensures the next generation has a livable place to call home. So already we've spoken to Collingwood, Severn, Springwater, and Oromadante. They've passed the resolution. We're going to speak to Bradford, West Gwillimbury, New Tecumseh, Innisfil, and Wasaga in the coming weeks. And I just want to, I don't know if the clerk was able to include the actual resolution in the package, your package. Check on that. If not, do you have that, Mayor?
Yep,
Measures?
I have it here.
Okay, so I don't need to read it out for you?
No, it's fine.
Would you
I
prefer
have,
I
I
read
have
it
it
out?
right here. I think it's been distributed to all members of our council.
Okay, then I'll leave that in your capable
Yep.
hands. I'll just check with Bernard whether he has anything else he wants to add by way of ecological services. Yep. I'll just take it.
On one of those slides, it talked about $3.3 billion worth of ecological services. And I'm not sure whether a lot of people understand what an ecological service is. There's a doctor in Japan. He's a Chinese neurologist. His name is Dr. Quinn Lai, and he wrote a book called Forest Bathing. When I was growing up, if we came home from our one-room school of 52 kids, one teacher, full discipline, and we had sniffles, my mother would send us into the bush and she'd say, your dad's built a fire down the cedar bush. You stay there. Supper's at 6. Don't be early. And we'd always leave the sniffles in the bush because she didn't realize there's 54% more oxygen in a cedar bush than there is in a house. So that was my first introduction into ecological services. And if you want to research, if staff wants to research the value of ecological services, they could start with a company called Green Analytics in Toronto and Guelph. And they will show you that in many cases, the value is something like $65,000 a hectare a year. This forest bathing thing I talked about is now being picked up in Western Canada, and doctors are prescribing time outside in the forest. So you've got to sit underneath that pine tree for 3 hours or 2 or whatever, right? And the ecological services steal from the doctors then. Anyway, I just think that ecological services is a good thing for council and staff to keep in mind because it is very valuable. And I'd like to thank Mayor and council and staff for the opportunity of presenting this evening, and thank you for your
Great. Thank you very much, Bernard. I'll take that time out underneath a pine tree anytime.
Yeah,
A totally good idea. Thank you for that. Gentlemen, perhaps you could just hang in there if there's any questions from
Happy to
our,
entertain any questions. Yeah.
absolutely. I'm sure there might be some comments and questions. I'll just kick things off with one thing I want to mention is that I appreciate your comments about flood events happening and how green belts certainly can help mitigate that. That's one of the objectives we have for the Climate Action Advisory Committee we have here at Clearview Township. You know, certainly our council and our community recognize that high event rain, snow events create a lot of drainage issues. And we have to face that sooner than later because, you know, we continue to have, you know, droughts and then heavy rain. And so when the rain comes now, it seems to come quite a lot of it in a hurry. And so we need to certainly have programs in place that we've done through good engineering as well as good planning to, first of all, protect the municipality's assets like our roads and bridges, infrastructure, those type of things, but also for residents to know that they need to protect their own properties too. I mean, how many times do you hear about it? People don't clean out their eaves trough, right? I mean, it's a simple thing to do.
Yep.
Don't fall off the damn ladder, please. But nevertheless, these type of things, we need to make sure that that's highlighted. And so those simple things we need to do. But I'm glad you pointed out that about the green belt. That's important. The other thing I want to mention too about the water study that you talked about and the work that you did up in Tiny Township. You may not be fully aware, but we are in the middle of a massive water project here at Clearview Township, where we are building a pretty significant wellhead at Klondike Park Road. And that water source is going to bring water into Stainer, and it'll come right down the 12th concession. The entire work started at that site as a result of the work at Tiny Township.
Interesting.
The examination of the water underground and that massive water resource that's available. Some call it the Alliston Aquifer, other people call it the Simcoe Aquifer. There's other names for it, but that massive body of water was sort of rediscovered. And our previous public works director had an engineering firm look into it and discovered that that is indeed stretches over into parts of Clearview Township. So we did some investigation and found a terrific water source, which we're going to be accessing to bring growth to the town of Stainer. So there you go. The
Well
work that
done.
was done,
Yes.
you know, a few years ago is paying off for us and other residents in Simcoe County as well. So
Great.
those are two things I just want to comment from the discussions. But I'll put it open to the floor if there's members of council have any questions. Paul, you want to go right ahead?
Thank you, Your Worship. Gentlemen, farming, agriculture is dear to my heart. I do farm. We have a problem in Clearview Township right now, and I don't know if you want to dabble in it a bit. We're at the crossroads or crosshairs of DND to put 4,000 acres, but potentially into the Arctic over the horizon radar. Are you aware of that?
I was not aware of that.
yes, I was.
Okay. Can you give us any suggestions, any ideas from your point of view? What can we do? Can we do anything? It's federal jurisdiction, and we do not have control, obviously, of this federal jurisdiction. But I mean, when I hear land trusts and stuff like that, I mean, to me, it's a potential to throw, you know, good land into a trust and protect it for agricultural purposes in perpetuity. But any thoughts?
Yes, I have some severe thoughts on that. I am somewhat educated through experience in expropriation law. And if the federal government wants that expropriated, once you're served the notice, you've lost the property. You have to be compensated for that loss. And you have to do it astutely with appraisers, planners, ecological consultants. And on the day of ownership, sorry, the day of possession, which will come 3 months after the day of ownership, when they register the properties into their name, date of possession, you have to be paid. Pay on time. But the landowners would have to be paid 6% interest from that possession date. So the reason I give these numbers is because your appraiser the mayor alluded to an appraiser that was hired for another project. In my experience, we hired appraiser, planner, 2 ecological consultants. We've received the initial compensation, but the rest of the compensation gone for 2. But all that compensation has to be paid, and that check down there receives the 6% interest. So I'll go back to what I said first. If you get the notice of expropriation, you've lost the property. The next date is the registration. Next notice.
I guess what I'm looking for, I mean, I can follow the legal, all the municipal legal jargon and everything else. Is there anything we can do if you've had experience with it for the people, the residents of Sunnydale Township, Clearview Township, that they
Well,
can do?
I see on the highways,
Oh, yeah, there's lots of
opposition
opposition.
to
Oh,
it.
yeah. But we don't have there's no teeth yet. What can we do to stop it?
Your people,
Yeah.
your people mostly. I'll give you an example of Department of National Defense. They wanted a place down near Eastern Ontario. I don't know exactly where, Councillor, but this family had owned this 800-acre farm as United Empire Loyalists. And the government wanted it for their, what do they call it? J2, the elite soldiers. This guy went ahead and did all the steps to fight it and was kicked off the property, and still haven't put any soldiers in. So the people in this community, if they can rally and show support through your council, I think that would be the best move. And you mentioned Ontario Farmland Trust. If we put all those properties into conservation easements, those conservation easements can be broken by a federal appropriation grab.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Okay, thank you.
So if you want any more information, I suggest you contact our executive director, Martin Strathoff at Ontario Farmland Trust in Guelph. I can give you, it's on our website. That's what I can offer as far as guidance and experience.
Bernard, if I can ask you, in your role as agriculture, you have until, I believe it's October 15th to submit your comments to the DND about the loss of some 4,000 acres of agricultural land.
Yeah.
And perhaps that would be helpful if your organization.
I just got an email from Martin, and I believe done that.
Okay.
Draft has been built.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe that goes for the Greenbelt Coalition too. I don't know what you think of
Yes,
that.
we could be happy to write a letter. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a difficult thing for sure. And there's unfortunately a feeling of desperation by a great number of our citizens who have had these properties for generations. So nevertheless, I know this is not our topic. We're talking about the Greenbelt, so thank you very much. Members of council, Mr. MacArthur, please.
Yeah, through your worship. I'm just wondering, looking at the map here, I can't help but think that 99% of this proposed expansion of the Greenbelt is either covered by Niagara Escarpment or our local conservation areas. What would the Greenbelt add or take away from their controls over what I would think is the same properties?
It's a technical question probably beyond me, but let me just say this, that if there were an expansion into Simcoe County, we're imagining that the various moraines, the Oro Moraine, the Singhampton Moraine, the French's Hill, and the moraine that runs along the 400 Highway Valley there, would be considered as possible sites. But again, we're not trying to designate specific locations or sites now for an expansion. We just want the review to be done very well and thoroughly, and sow the seeds for possibility of expansion. So I'm not really answering your question because I don't have the technical expertise to do so.
If I
right.
could possibly add something. Last October, provincial policy statement came. Planners know all about it. On June the 5th, Bill 5 came. And all of those have meaning for conservation. This government, provincial government, is being hard on conservation authorities, rather. We know that. So this is an issue where you may have protected land before October 15th. After that, especially after Bill 5, you may not have the same protection. They've taken the buffer for PSW lands, provincially wetlands, from 120 meters down to 30 meters. And then you can actually build on the 30 acres. Your economic or ecological assessment says developers. So got to be on top of this. Consultants and staff is instrumental in helping you. These are the guys that know what's going on. They got to be respected.
Are there other members? Any questions? Do you have something? Yes, go right ahead.
Wondering, just thoughts going on in my head. So the federal government can supersede the Farmland Forever Trust, is what
Yes.
you're telling me?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's that. What about ANSI? It's a provincial thing, so can they supersede that as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's Carney.
All right.
Is my politics showing at all?
Oh. Are there any other questions? Well, thank you very much then, gentlemen, for being here, and I appreciate your presentation. Council will consider this, and we'll work with our clerk's department to find if we want to put this on our agenda. But we appreciate you having this here available for us.
Thank you for your
Okay.
time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank you very much, and thanks for being here. You're welcome to stay. It's kind of nice to see our guests get applause. Perhaps our next presenters will get an applause too. How about that? Yeah, so we're going to move on in our agenda, and we're going to look at item number 5.2, Stainer BESS, a proposed energy storage project for the LT2. James Marzotto is here. James, there he is. He's got a gentleman with him too, and I've forgotten your name because I met you and I forgot your name. Logan, there you go. Nice to see you again. James, welcome. Nice to see you.
Okay, I think you heard me. Okay. I'll continue on. Next slide, please. Yeah, so today we'll be introducing our proposed battery energy storage system, Stainer BESS. I'll introduce Compass Greenfield Development, or I'll refer to us as CGD. Our proposed development timeline, an introduction to lithium ion battery energy storage systems, why we chose your municipality, how we're working with various authorities having jurisdiction in this proposed development, and we'll certainly introduce the project site, our preliminary skilled site map, refer to its zoning, as well as refer to a current project under our ownership and operation, Walker BESS 456, currently in operation within the city of Windsor for reference. And our ultimate ask here for tonight of council, a signed municipal council support resolution request required of our bid submission with the Independent Energy System Operator, also known as the ISO. Our bid due December 18th of this year. To the next slide, please. So about CGD, we are a Canadian-owned, Toronto-based energy developer out of Toronto. We've been working first as a consultant in the energy space in Ontario the last 10 plus years, 12 plus years, and developer, now known as CGD, for the last 5, contributing to many megawatts throughout the province of Ontario, Saskatchewan, and now New Brunswick. Stainer Bess, which we'll further speak to, is a proposed 18 megawatt AC alternating current BESS project proposed at 219 Industrial Road. Next slide, please. We can go to the next slide. Sorry, a few slides back. And then another one back, please. This map just highlights our current portfolio. In Canada, as I mentioned, we have 1 battery energy storage system. I'll refer to it as a BESS. 1 BESS in operation in Windsor, and 2 other BESSes, 2 in Mississippi Mills, that will be reaching commissioning by the end of this year, and another BESS of similar size, 16 megawatts, reaching commissioning in North Glengarry, Ontario, both near the Quebec border, later this year. Next slide, please. Referring back to the timeline, so our proposed development timeline here is asking for the support resolution certainly before December 18th of this year. We bid December 18th. We would know if we have a project by June 2026. Construction, or I should say permitting, engineering leading up to 2027. Construction 2027, and then commissioning 2028, 2029. And the project would be in operation for 20 plus years. Next slide, please. As we'll get further into it, when we choose a location for a BESS, we first look at electrical infrastructure. So we understand that the Stainer transformer station just north of 219 Industrial can take on both the extra load, because it is a load source, it charges at night, and can take the generation capacity on the 44 kilovolt lines that span from Stainer transformer station. That's what brought us here. As well, we understand that it is in line with the official plan of the County of Simcoe and with Clearview as well, as we'll look more into the zoning in a minute here. Community benefits that this project would bring would be certainly a stronger local energy grid. I should have mentioned earlier that this procurement, the long-term 2 capacity procurement, is for 600 megawatts of needed capacity throughout the province. This spurs from an announcement from the Ministry of Energy that as a province, we need to increase capacity by 75% by 2050. So it's certainly not a nice to have. It's the 600 megawatts is needed for the grid. And our project in Windsor is already contributing to capacity demand that Windsor is facing, southwestern Ontario. There will be short-term job creation, say in the civil, and any contractors or trades that contribute to low voltage, high voltage work, civil, we'll certainly look at them first. I should mention, though, that during the operation of the project, it is a standalone remote operated project. So in terms of long-term job creation within Stainer or Clearview itself, it would be limited. Though we would have an operations and maintenance contract, 4 to 6 visits a year. It's with a local subcontractor, great. But I want to be upfront that the job creation is minimal during construction, initial stages of construction. As part of our portfolio, we would be offering a $1,000 a megawatt community benefit agreement. So at 18 megawatts AC, that would be in the first year, a contribution of $18,000 a year, as well as any applicable increase tax base for the municipality. Next slide, please. Okay, so why battery storage? In short, this is a alternate to natural gas use that can hit the capacity needs that the province requires. Stainer Best, as we'll get into, for 18 megawatts would take up approximately 1.75 acres of land. Get into the next slide, please. So this is what I wanted to emphasize or focus on the most today. Our overview of the project at 219 Industrial Road is currently being used for some aggregate storage, vehicle storage, old vehicle storage, and it is zoned general industrial, which we understand to be in line with the zoning, applicable zoning use. And to my point, north of the red property outline there, the premise is 1.75 acres. That's the blue polygon within that map. Stainer Best is within a kilometer of the location. Next slide, please. As mentioned, this is our, and happy to speak more to it at any time, current project case study, the City of Windsor. So this is, these are technically 3 projects put in the same area, Walker Best 4, 5, 6, each 5 megawatts each at 4 megawatt hours. And so that would equate to 15 megawatts. And this project is on North Service Road. I emphasize North Service Road because that is directly north of the airport. And it just kind of shows how a battery energy storage system can work well within an industrial area and within a high traffic area, such as an airport and the local highway there. We worked with Enwin Utilities on this project. Black and McDonald was the contractor. Next slide, please. Happy to speak further to this and if there are specific questions, but this slide essentially just demonstrates the different authorities having jurisdictions that we would work with, such as certainly obviously the Township of Clearview. We do need a building permit and zoning bylaw, or sometimes we'd work with planning, but any typical permitting or zoning bylaw amendment, we would work with your staff with. We would introduce the project furthermore to Clearview Fire Emergency Services Department, Fire and Rescue, both on the proposed design, the proposed technology, and working with Logan on any needed or what we would suggest emergency response plans and assessments. And as well, nothing's getting connected, nothing's being turned on without the oversight of Hydro One, the Electrical Safety Authority, and the Ministry of Energy, and of course the ISO. And those 2 pictures there just show Logan to my right giving a tour and conducting training with the City of Windsor's Fire and Rescue Department. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned today, and I'll mention this is new. We did hold a community engagement meeting on September 25th. We will hold another one on October 6th. Already asked the Creemore Echo to advertise this ad in their newspaper. Well, I'll be reaching out to the coordinator, applicable coordinator of Clearview website to have it on their website. And I'll also work with local radio stations to ensure that the word is spread. I should also mention learning about the over the horizon radar system. I did submit a comment to D&D last week mentioning the project, as well as talk to our execution team about the BESS. And so far, just internally, I'll say there's currently no concern on our end, but certainly happy to work through the process of engaging with D&D on the project as well. And so requesting the support resolution today to be signed on as soon as is possible, so that we can make our submission December 18th and hopefully be selected. That's a typo there, June 16th, 2026. Next slide, please. So that concludes the introductory. Happy to speak more or answer any questions, myself and Logan by my side here.
All right. Thanks, James. Thanks, Logan, for being there. And thank you for the update. I've written down a couple things here, but I'm going to go to the floor here and see if there's other members. I see Paul has his card up already. Other members? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. How about Paul, you go right ahead and we'll let other members think. Marty, did you want to go?
I can't go first, your worship. Thank
Let
you.
him go first. How's that?
That's what I want to do.
Okay, go ahead, Marty.
I've got a rather long, extensive list here. Are you aware that there was a company that applied for a BESS for Brentwood, Ontario?
Yes,
And that did not go well.
yes,
Okay, you're aware of that.
I'm aware of it.
Okay, because there are issues there where it would really tax our fire department with the excess training that you have to do. In fact, we'd probably lose a lot of our fire department. A lot of people have a bad taste from how the company in Brentwood operated. They were very shady. They didn't answer questions. To me, it was a company that you really don't want to deal with. I remember being at a convention in Toronto. I believe it was Roma, and I sat in on the IESO meeting, and the mayor of Windsor said they really regret having one in their area. And if you're having a best operation apply for your area, don't do it. That kind of stuck in my mind. If you had to evacuate Stainer, I don't know if New Lowell can house everyone from Stainer. So we'd have to pick out maybe a third of Stainer we could host. I don't know where the rest of Stainer would go. That's all I got to say.
I'm gonna just say there's plenty of lifeboats here, okay? But thank you for that. You have any comments you want to add to that? No?
Yeah, no, so if you say a few things, just about City of Windsor, yeah, surprised to hear that they did. We worked with their leading up to the permitting and construction. We worked with their city energy department staff who helped us along the way to get a support resolution. We feel like it went well. CBC did a news production, or I wasn't there, I was away this summer, but did a news video of a ribbon cutting within the City of Windsor. So I think just based on that ribbon cutting ceremony alone, the fact that we've cycled the batteries and helped with their needed capacity, that there are numerous publications from third-party consultants saying that the city needed this. I am surprised to hear that from the mayor. In terms of, the point on the first developer, I don't know. I know there was a development. I don't know the exact company that proposed, but I do understand that part of the reason why it didn't go well was the fact that it was on agricultural land. We made a point for this project to work in Stainer on general industrial, that's zoned in a way where I think, plastic manufacturing, I think even petroleum, plastics, oil containers can go on there. So I do think it is in line with what the municipality has zoned it for. And in terms of, one of the reasons why I like working for Compass, I feel like we're fairly transparent in terms of how we introduce the project. We've committed to 2 meetings. We're going to, as I mentioned before, have it advertised in your local newspaper, on your website, 2 different radio stations that I've been made aware of. So we encourage all to come. Happy to knock on more doors in the area to ensure everyone has a say. And in terms of, say, emergency response, evacuation, I can introduce Logan and he can give a few comments. It would take a bit of time, but just kind of show what our process is in terms of working with the local fire department right away before even getting it permitted. I can give him the floor. It'd be maybe about 5-7 minutes on how we work with it and how we can address, say, evacuation plumes, that kind of thing. Would that be okay? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. In regards to the fire department and taxing resources and planning, you take a very grassroots approach to that type of system in coming up with emergency response plans. As James said, we involve the fire chief almost immediately. It's very, very important for us to receive their impact. We've been very successful on operating these sites in other municipalities across Ontario that are quite rural and have always designed the emergency response plan to fit underneath their ENR bylaw. So extending any type of service or increasing the fire service so far hasn't needed to happen. These types of fires, if there is an issue, is a defensive approach protecting exposures. So we're not expecting the fire department at any time to try to put this fire out. The containers are designed to burn into themselves. So the resources, it would be very similar, if not less, to a barn fire in a rural community. If I can speak to toxic gases, with every component of combustion, there are toxic gases. With batteries, there are toxic gases that come off of those. To reference evacuating Steiner as a whole is not to be crass, is a little bit of an egregious statement. Typically, what we've seen in these developments of similar size, sorry, I should have brought some water, is a 500-meter initial evacuation distance. And that is actually taking a more conservative approach than what is recommended by the battery designers and producers themselves. So I hope that answers some of your questions. This is very early in the process, but it is important that you do feel that we are looking for your feedback and really heavily depending on working with the local fire service.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Perhaps there'll be other questions, but thanks, guys.
I would just add to that
Sure.
very quickly. Come to CGD, we commit to paying for any extra training, fire equipment that the department would need for what Logan just outlined. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Other members, I think the deputy mayor would like to go next. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, thank you. First of all, Scott, you heard that. They're paying for all your training and they're paying for all the equipment if this goes ahead. So you've heard it right here. Okay.
And feel free to reach out to City of
No,
Benson
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a reference.
Yeah.
I saw Tesla's name on this project for building the battery designs and I'm thinking,
That was for Windsor. That was
Windsor, okay.
decision was made a few years ago.
Okay, but anyways, we've been nailing our fire chief every chance we get as far as asking how do we fight EV fires, how do we fight battery fires and stuff like that. And so now the rubber's hitting the road, we'll say, and Scott, you're on the hot seat going forward now. You mentioned about your previous meeting. I just asked, how many people were there?
3.
Oh, because I'm a property owner. Actually, I can see your property. I own a commercial property right away and I never got notification of it. So just make darn sure this time when you hold one, I saw the notice today, we received it. It's being held at St. Patrick's Church Hall, that all the people get the notifications because we did not get notified and we have a pretty significant holding not far from you. The other question, or just for clarification, you are asking only for approval to apply for this BESS system, correct?
Short answer, yes. And to expand the support resolution, the ISO just needs to see that from the pertaining lower tier municipality that they support the project. And yes, we still have to go, if we were to win the power purchase agreement, as I mentioned in June, then we would go through the necessary steps with staff
Okay.
on say permitting, zoning, applicable zoning bylaw amendment.
I just want to refer this back to our CAO, Mr. Ferguson. Did we not do a resolution for this property previously to support?
There was a resolution to recognize the fact that we were saying, yes, they were doing something, but it was not to be misconstrued with the final approval of a project.
Okay, so it's the same scenario. You have that letter, you've seen that letter?
So short answer, yes, though that was for previous procurement, which we were not successful on. This is for long-term. So that would have been for
LT1, I think it was called.
exactly, yeah.
And you're
long-term.
applying to the LT2 program, right?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so it's a similar thing. We are making no commitment. All we're doing is we're saying that we will support your application coming
Yes.
forward. Okay. I just want to make that clear that we're not sticking our necks out without a full review and our constituents having a chance to look at everything involved.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Other members of council who have questions? Yes, Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Your Worship. Being one of the 3 that were at your meeting, I'm grateful for the fact that you acknowledged having a second public engagement session. I appreciate that very much. I felt that your location was really questionable, being not accessible, and being in Duntruin. Nothing wrong with Duntruin, but being in that hall when your system is to be built in Stainer, to me, we had some great discussion that night, and I'm grateful that you have moved forward with that on the, I believe on the 28th at 6:30 at St. Pat's Hall. I'm hoping that the public and through your notices will engage themselves and be there and ask the questions that we were able to get answers from both of you, and I appreciate that very much. The other question you answered was fire department and being an ex-firefighter. My question was costs and what would be the municipality's cost, but you answered that any additional costs or equipment needed would be through the system, through your process. And I appreciate that. And I would just like to know that after your meeting on the 28th, if this council will be given a summary of your questions, et cetera, so that we can make a really informed decision on the type of questions and the clientele that came to your meeting to ask questions and their feeling on that, so that when we do our resolution, that we are informed as to how the public feel with regards to the best system. Stainer, thank you.
Any comments?
I would just comment that this councillor knows certainly hear that. We'll have, I'll aim to have at least two junior CGD members taking notes, taking questions, as we did. We did publish meeting minutes of the questions that were asked on our project website, and happy to circulate them and do the same thing after the 28th. Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there other members of council with any questions? Seeing none? All right, fellas, I got a couple of things I'd like to bring up. I just want to straighten up some of the numbers here. What is the date of the meeting at St. Patrick's Parish Hall?
The October 28th, that starting at 6:30 p.m.
October 28th. Okay, got that. Now you said that the best project, once completed, you're thinking 2028, 2029 for implementation, activation. Is that what you're thinking?
Commissioning, yes.
Commissioning?
Yes.
So it would be-
commission, I would say commissioned by 2029,
It'll be activated operational 29.
by 2029.
Okay.
Is what
all
we're
right,
aiming
That's
for,
a good
yes.
number. All right. So obviously there's a great number of steps you have to take between today and getting there. And again, as the deputy mayor pointed out, there's steps that this council, is being asked to provide. So we'll have to consider that, and we'll look for that on another agenda as soon as possible. I do want to ask about your comment saying that you feel it would be operational for about 20 years. Is that right? So the batteries that you would install in 28, 29, or the systems, you said that it would be about a 20-year lifespan. Is that right?
Yes, so the initial power purchase agreement would be 20 years, and we would look to extend the power purchase agreement as is common with most power generators. At
Right.
the end of the project life, the owner will look to extend the contract with the ISO.
I get it. So yeah,
Yeah,
that would be the contract lifespan, not the lifespan of the equipment.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay. So what I was thinking is that, boy, that's a pile of investment for only 20 years of service.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, we would look to extend it. And I should mention, our land lease, long-term land lease with the property owner is up to 40 years. So
Okay.
we'd be looking to expand it all the way up to that.
Okay, that makes sense. And you're talking, it's a 600 megawatt production? Is that,
Oh, no. So we're
or
proposing,
1800, you said?
yeah, we're proposing an 18 megawatt AC. And I mentioned 600 megawatts is the total procurement by the ISO. So they'll be awarding 600 megawatts worth of
Contract, and you're going to produce 18.
and we're looking for
kilowatts.
18 megawatts of that with.
You're looking for
with
eight- okay.
Stainer better. Yeah, I like to mention that because I think it gives good context to people that are unfamiliar with the procurement, like how, it's not just Stainer where these projects are being.
So back
proposed.
to TS1, or sorry, TS2 now, which is what you're applying for. They will be issuing across the province to other operators like yourselves,
Mhm.
up to 600 megawatts of energy production that they're expecting to be put into the grid. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The other comment I found very interesting, and I remember reading this, and when you said it, James, it triggered my memory of this, that yes, they want, the IESO have predicted that by 2050, we need 75% more electricity available on our grids.
Yeah.
Like we simply, by 2050, we need to have 75% more than we're doing now. And now it's a lot. Like
Yeah.
right now, it's a lot of energy being produced, but we need even more, which is surprising and startling when you consider
Yes.
like 75%. That's a lot of energy. So
Yeah.
I know that IESO is spending money on nuclear generation, getting some upgrades, some plants, some work's going on at the Bruce, some work's going on at Pickering, even Chalk River is being talked about being reactivated. So I mean, there's some small stations that are talking about being put into Quebec, I heard. So there's a lot of work on nuclear for sure to get that actual generation. The key here is for you, as I understand it, is that you're not a generator, you're a storer. You take that generation and store it and release it at the time when it's necessary for the grid to keep that grid operational. Is that a good analysis?
Short answer.
You're not
yeah,
a
short
generator,
answer. Yes.
Right? You're not a generator, but you're entering into a contract to give them energy when they need it.
Yeah, it's a contract for capacity. So just even just taking a step back on context, what they're looking for this year. My memory serves me correctly. They're looking for well over 1,000 megawatts of just energy
Yes.
this year. So we're working towards right now an October 16th deadline for solar projects elsewhere in the province. And our competitors, they're looking to develop, more wind, bio, for the most part. It'll mostly be solar, wind, bio. Just over 1,000 megawatts. That's elsewhere in the province. And then, so that's the energy procurement. And then to your point, the capacity procurement, emphasis on the word capacity, that's due December 18th. That's the peaks that essentially they're looking to have support on. So the contract in a nutshell is with a provider to be on standby, to be paid to essentially be on standby to cycle their batteries or even natural gas, fire their natural gas plant. So
There
we'll
are
be
some-
competing against a natural gas plant or one. At
Those
least
are
one or
called
two.
peaker plants, right?
Exactly. Yes.
The
exactly.
peaker plants are natural gas plants, and if I'm not mistaken, is there one in Newmarket? I think there's one in Newmarket. The natural gas. I think there is. Anyway,
Right.
okay. So let's just go back then. 2050 is the target that IESO is working towards.
Yes.
And your project, that's only 25 years away from right now. We're at 2025. So your project is going to be activated in 2029, and your contract's only good for 20 years, but you hope to extend it for another 20 years. So you'll definitely be part of that increase that they're looking for. So you're going to be a piece of that action, sort of thing.
Yes, I can assume.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's going to be other procurements. This isn't the final one.
No, this is just one of
there's gonna
many
be a lot
across.
more leading up to 2030. Yeah. To
This is
get
one of
ready.
many across the whole province.
Yes.
Okay, the interesting part is going back to what Councillor Beelan brought up, is that there's a significant amount of pushback in regards to taking agricultural land and turning it into a BESS project. And then there's a certain amount of apprehension for sure in regards to lithium ion batteries and lithium ion battery fires. And so I just want to go to Logan if I can. Logan, can you help me answer a question that was posed to me early in the meeting? A plume of, as you said, toxic smoke that might come from a battery fire or some type of fire like that. Let's just face it, it's an electrical fire. An electrical fire, it's not just the copper wires that are burning, it's always the plastics that are creating the insulation, right? That are going to burn. So those are the type of things that are actually creating the biggest threat, I guess, to human consumption, is those off gases that come from the plastics that are melting. Interestingly enough, though, like copper doesn't produce any specific elements unless you're actually, doing a foundry with copper. The gases that come from a foundry is different totally than what you're going to get at a copper fire.
Yeah.
Right. So because the heat level is different. Anyway, what's the solution here? Like what type of damage are we talking to the environment if one of these multiple units of yours burns up?
Yeah, no, fantastic question. It's important to note when we're discussing battery fires that this technology is much different than you'd see in, say, an electric vehicle or a scooter. There's several engineering controls to ensure a cleaner burn. If you don't mind, Mr. Mayor, I'm just going to excuse myself for 1 second, get some water, if that's okay, because I don't
Tell you
want
what, I'm
to.
going to give you a quick,
Yeah.
quick update. See
Yeah.
that little door right there?
There's some water back there.
Derek is going to get you a glass of water right now. And if you need a Halls, I could even give you one. It's okay. I got a bit of a cold too. I probably got it from you guys at the meeting. Derek's bringing you water. He's such a good guy. There you go. All right. Take some water, take a breath. So
Perfect.
all I'm asking for you to help us understand and for the public to understand, your experience in firefighting as well as disaster management. I know that's the kind of company you operate and you're contracted to Compass, so that's great. Tell us a little bit about what the dangers are to both the public and the environment if one of these things happens to pop a fire.
In any of the systems that are sold on the market today, there is burn testing to be done. The analytical is provided, what off-gassing occurs with each unit. Each technology is different, so manufacturer to manufacturer, there can be different burn tests. From that information, what we try to do is provide plume dispersion modeling. So we try to replicate a fire, I'm saying on a software, not in real life. And we understand where the area of effect will generally be. For the other developments we've done, the major area, so our green zone, so anywhere outside of this area is safe, has been 500 meters. And then we bring it in and that increases the level of protective equipment. That is also conducive on weather conditions, wind, all of that sort of thing. Where I see, it is a very real concern. When fires happen, any smoke is toxic. None of this is good. Where we really try to hammer down onto the public meetings and the forums like this to educate people is when you come to discuss with us at the public format, we can share some of the studies and our previous actions that we've had. Again, it's very early on in the process. They haven't decided what actual brand of container that they use. So right now, I can't tell you this is the exact amount of gas, this is the distance. One thing I can tell you though, is that like any other fire, there will be a hot zone that the fire department has to respond to. The comment earlier, again, and I tried to be as frank as possible with this idea of evacuating stainer or some sort of extreme environmental concern coming out of this isn't exactly present in the studies that we've been provided by the producers themselves. But we're very, very clear and transparent. And I take honor of doing that as a firefighter myself and talking to Councillor Walker at our meeting. Fires do have risk and we need to train the local service on how to handle that risk and mitigate it. Do I see it providing a massive business continuity issue or public safety hazard in this area? No, I don't. For me to give you exact numbers, that's going to be down the line, like to see when we start developing the emergency response plan. But that is all done in conjunction with the local fire service. I don't mean to try to give you a political answer, but right now, without them having the exact idea and everything set in stone, it's very hard for me to give you an exact answer to that question.
That's okay. The generalization of your answer is good, and that's okay. I think the point is that our fire departments and all fire departments in Ontario train for the hazards that they know in their community. They totally do. Firefighters in Northern Ontario, they train regularly for forest fires. Our firefighting crew do train for forest fires. They know about them, but it's not sort of a regular planning and training routine because we don't generally have those here. We do have wildfires, as in grass fires and hay bales and things like that. But we don't have that type of hazard or potential hazard in our community. So I get it. If we see the best systems come to our community, that needs to be assessed and addressed by our fire chief, his training staff, as well as in his role as the community emergency management coordinator to make sure that it works to provide a level of safety to our community. The thing that I think is interesting beyond all this too, though, is that while this may be perceived as a hazard, there's sadly, the reality is that there's hazards that drive through our community every single day. There are transport trucks that carry unknown materials right through our community every single day. And we don't know what's in them. There's some type of marking system on trucks that indicate what type of basic materials they're carrying, but sometimes they're not really accurate. So hazards come and go every day on the transportation networks in our community. And I think our fire department does an excellent job of mitigating any hazards and be prepared for anything that could happen. So I'm interested to see where your company and Compass could provide that level of training and confidence to our firefighters and help it work into our fire master plan if approved. So we got a long way to go, as I was saying to James, that this is a longer process than just, you know, here you go, build your plan. I mean, you're not going to be activated till 2029. That's a few years out. So you got a lot of work to do, and I'd be interested to hear more about it as the process moves forward. But I also agree with some of the comments from the table here today that we need to hear from the public, particularly in and around the Stainer community, as to how they feel about it. But I'd be interested to hear from people all across the township about how we reach that goal as Ontarians to get 75% increase in electricity, production. You know, we're all trying to save electricity, putting neon everything and LED bulbs everywhere. And yet we need more electricity than we've ever needed. So this is a real interesting one for the community to embrace. So, all right, that's about all I have to say for commentary. I thank you, Logan, and thank you, James. If there's anything you want to wrap up with, unless other members have any last minute questions? No? Okay. Anything you want to wrap up with, James, as we close this?
I would just say, thank you very much, and happy to schedule another delegation after our October 28th meeting to answer any further comments or questions that arose.
Yeah. Well, we'll be very interested to see some of the comments that come out of that meeting for sure. Absolutely.
All right.
All right. I encourage
Thank
you
you.
to continue to work with our capable planning staff. Not only are they great planners, but he'll also deliver you a glass of water when necessary. So thanks very much for being here today.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, staff.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
All right. All right. Everybody's running around here. What's going on? Okay. All right, council, we'll move on in our agenda. Item number 6, public meetings. There are no public meetings tonight. So at this point, then I'll move to item number 7, which is the approval of the council meeting minutes. Be it resolved that council of the township Clearview hereby approve the minutes of the September 22nd, 2025 council meeting as presented. And Councillor Deneen is moving that. Councillor Walker is seconding it. Is there any questions on the minutes? Mr. Broderick, any questions on the minutes? Thank you very much. All right. I'll call the motion then. All in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you for everybody. Correspondence for information. Council, we do have item number 8.1, which is our resolutions from our closed session. So we have a resolution we have 2 resolutions from closed sessions. I'll look for a mover and seconder on the first one here in a moment. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby accept the resignation of Brianna Lattimore as a member of the Creemore Station on the Green Board. And item 1, that council appoint Bill Mann to the Creemore Station on the Green Board, and the council direct staff to amend appointment bylaw 22-101 to reflect these changes. Can I have that moved by Mr. Broderick and seconded by Mr. MacArthur? Thank you very much. Any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. And thank you, Brianna, and thank you, Bill. The second one is Township of Clearview Official Plan 2024 OLT Appeal. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby directs staff to act in accordance with the direction provided in closed session regarding the Township of Clearview Official Plan 2024 OLT Appeal, Lilac Park Inc. Settlement. And that would be moved by the Deputy Mayor and seconded by Mr. Broderick. We'll go with that. Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries unanimous as well. Moving on, item 8.2 is a media release regarding TD Tree Days. Say that quickly. TD Tree Days returns to the Nottawasaga watershed. Item 8.2. Do you have something you want to say? You have a couple in here you want to jump in? 8.2. Okay, go right ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Your Worship. TD Days work well. We're working in coordination with NVCA. October 18th, we will be planting trees down at the Carruthers Park or in Avonine.
Good.
So I believe 9 to 12, but anyways, It's all available on website, but it's a great opportunity for, especially for young people to participate in it. So bring the family out. It's a fun time always, and it's well received. Thank you.
Great, good. 8.3 is a media release from Bass Pro and Cabela's Outdoor Fund, which supports reshaping the rivers for resiliency in the Nottawasaga watershed. That's exciting. There's also a release from the province to take over a residential recycling collection in Simcoe County. Starting January 1st, 2026, county continues to manage garbage and organics. So, council, let's be all clear when we speak to members of the public, and we have this well communicated from the county. Recycling programming continues on the same day and virtually the same. The contractor has not been announced as to who the contractor is going to be to take over recycling. But at this time, their intention is to continue to use the existing bins that we already have. All right, so there's no change to that at the person's residence, but we may see a change in what is being permitted. That's unknown yet until we get some clarity from the county of Simcoe and from the contractor who's supposed to be taking this over. Go ahead, Paul.
Just, I believe now, Your Honor, Your Worship, the MTerra has been appointed the
Yes.
contract.
Oh,
So
that's right.
MTerra's got the contract, and
MTerra.
we may be seeing a couple of trucks going down the road, yet we don't know how it's gonna work, but anyways, MTerra is the contract.
That's right. Yeah, I did read that and it just didn't come back to me right then. Sorry. Advisory, share the road with farmers this harvest season. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Paul or Robert.
Just another one on the recycling, just as I read there, that as of January 1st, recycling you will have to pay for if you take it to the landfill site.
100%.
So I just want to make sure the residents understand that it's not a free drop off anymore as of January 1st.
That's right.
That you're recycling. If you go to the landfill, you will be paying to dispose of that. So just a heads up to the residents of everywhere that it's your cost now after January 1st for recycling.
So this Christmas, make sure all of your wrapping materials and cardboard boxes and all that stuff are into the landfill site before January 1st. Keep that in mind at Christmas, folks. Thank you, Robert. This one is an advisory about sharing the road, farmers in harvest season. This is very important, actually, particularly in our township. We have wonderful roads in our township. We also have fantastic farmers, and their equipment is most of it is much wider than your average lane. So please be careful and share the roads with our farmers this season at all times. In fact, this is an important advisory. County of Simcoe raises concern over the unstated mandates of annexation process, citing risk of future lost revenues in impacted services and lost strategic opportunities for the county residents. This is a big one, actually. Seems like we're going to be talking about this a lot at the county. And in fact, the area around Highway 11 North near the Lake Simcoe Regional Airport, industrial area up there that would expand if the airport expands, would be the lost revenues right there. And lost revenues, when the land moves into the city of Barrie, that means those lost revenues are going to be taken up by everybody else in the county. So all the other taxpayers across the whole county are now going to have to pick up that loss, and that's not a good thing for anybody. So that's the short and nasty version of that. Leaf and yard waste collection resumes in October. I know my wife has already got bags out in front of our house, and battery collection begins in November 2nd. So, and that usually falls just about the same time as we move our clocks back. So that's why that battery collection starts in there. The last one is a little more disturbing, if you don't mind me saying. Minister Solicitor General is reviewing the Ontario Provincial Police OPP cost recovery model. So you guys might recall a year ago, there was quite a shocker that some municipalities were facing 20, 25, some of them a 30% increase in their OPP costs. The province stepped in and halted that and set it at, was it 6% or 5%? I can't remember. What was it, Kelly? It was a short number anyway. It wasn't 11, was it? They capped it, right, at a certain level. Anyway, the point is that they capped it right across the province. This announcement opens that cap a little bit, and actually we have not got our cost recovery numbers yet. I don't believe we've got them received. Have we, Kelly? Have you got the number?
We haven't received the number, but we have been notified that the cap will be 11%.
It's 11% this year. So there you go. Great. That's on our budget discussions, council. There you go. So if there's any other comments from any of these items, you're welcome to jump in. Seeing none. Let's move forward with our ward report. We're going to start with Councillor Broderick tonight. Johnny, what do you got to tell us tonight, sir?
Thank you, Your Worship. Going back to September 26th, attended the CTV interview with the mayor and other councilors. And also on the 26th, attended the Shipyard Kitchen Party, Songs of Newfoundland at the Station on the Green in Creemore. October 3rd, attended the Sunnydale Hall board meeting. And also that evening attended what we hope is the first annual Clearview historical tour hosted by the Clearview Chamber of Commerce, held in Stainer. October the 4th, attended the Andrew Hyatt concert held in the Duntroon Small Hall. And that's it.
All right. It was a good concert.
It was a good concert. It was
Yeah, I'll
really
betcha.
good.
Yeah, good stuff. That's great. Small Halls is still underway, folks. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you, Your Worship. On the 26th, also attended the Newfoundland Songbook, and that was a great performance. Many of the Small Halls events on 27th, Singhampton Show and Shine, which is also part of the Small Halls, looked like a fantastic show. And of course, as we all know, weather drives all, so they were had a great show. On the 2nd, Dunedin Hall Board met and planning more pub nights through the years through the months, because that's become fairly popular in downtown Dunedin. Also, this past weekend, the Purple Hills Arts Festival was in Creemore. Great crowds. Thank all the volunteers. It looked like a very well-run show. And even if some people were scared of the clowns, but apparently they were supposed to be friendly, but not here. Apparently clowns aren't always the friendly, bubbly that you think they are. And then also as part of that, finally got the doors open at Evening Hall for 3 I think they were all next to sold out concerts. So evening is rocking again. So look forward, we will be planning a grand opening ceremony there in the near future. So keep an eye open for that. And then just want to promote as part of the Small Halls too is the Amazing Race Clearview, which my beautiful spouse and I are trying to organize for the 25th of October. There's still a few tickets left for that. Come out and challenge yourself. And then there'll be Lance Dobinson Halloween after party after the race that day. So everybody come out and enjoy. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Paul, would you like to go next?
Sure, thank you. 26th, we had the first NVCA meeting this fall in person. We've got our budget started already, so we're working diligently, and they will be coming to council very shortly to make presentation for that. We did the photo op at the Brooks Farm with the CTV. I'll call it the photo op. The mayor did the interview, and it was a great opportunity to promote or to express our concerns with the Over the Horizon, and I'm sure you'll speak a bit more about that. The second, we had our grant and sponsorship committee, so we've got that being worked on right now. And the fourth, Councillor Walker and the mayor and myself had the opportunity to go to Tim Hortons, and it wasn't to eat donuts, it was to give the new generation their first hockey sweater. So the young ladies and young men who will be joining the Clearview Minor Hockey Association organization got spoiled by Tim Hortons with various items, and they had a chance to get their picture taken with the mayor, or I did one, I guess, or a couple.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was really nice to see the new generation. And I like to say a lot of the parents who I did know were the little buggers when I was involved with minor hockey, and now they're the parents, so they get to take care of things. But anyways, it was a lot of fun, and we enjoy the history, the reminiscing. Thank you.
It was a fun event. It truly was. Councillor Janine.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm glad to hear that the Duntroon Hall concert went well. I'm really happy to hear that. I wasn't able to attend, but I did go to the Singhampton Show and Shine. and they had 154 vehicles there.
Wow.
Entries.
That's excellent.
And we were there all day. The weather was just beautiful, and the firefighters did an amazing job with the barbecue. This Thursday, October 9th, at the Nottawa Hall, from 8 to 10 is dinner and comedy. It's a 19+ event, and you can choose to come for the barbecue dinner and pay $45 for that and the comedy, or you can just come for the comedy session for $30. So if anybody's looking to extend their Thanksgiving weekend with a barbecue, please come out and see us. Thanks.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. Mr. Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. September 27th was a real important day in New Lowell. The New Lowell Knights won the North Dufferin Baseball League Championship once again in Game 7, 5-4 over the Owen Sound. That's why I'm wearing the New Lowell Knights sweater.
Looks good on you too.
They do have a dynasty. This is the third time they've won out of the last 4 years, and the sixth time out of the last 10 years. And it was an entertaining game, and Clearview's own staff member, Dale Lightheart, took a ball to the face. I think he broke his nose. Lots of blood everywhere. Dale, it only hurts for a little while. That's all I can say. October 1st, the Climate Action Advisory Committee met, and we have some members here tonight because of the item on the agenda. And that's all I have.
Congratulations to the New Lowell Knights. It was great to see. I'm sure that they had a good party and put a bag of ice on Lightheart, right? Good job. Thank you. Councillor Walker, please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. September the 23rd, we had a library board meeting. At that meeting, the Library Budget Committee presented the budget to the library board for approval, which will be presented then through our budget presentations later on. 24th, attended the zoning bylaw open house. 25th, attended the battery storage facility in Duntroon. And October the 4th, as Deputy Mayor has said, we're at the Tim Hortons, my first Jersey Day, and just amazing. Those little kids their eyes just lit up when that jersey went on. I mean, they were shy before, but then once the jersey was on, it was, wow, I'm part of a team, and it looked really good, and it was a really fun afternoon. I really appreciate being asked to be there. It was great. Thank you.
It was a great event. It truly was. Thank you very much for mentioning that again. I'm going to start with that. The Tim Hortons hockey jersey thing, that was just terrific. They're 5 years old or so, and they're all getting their first jersey. And, it was just really something to see how, like you said, they were really shy coming in the door. And then they got to meet their coach, and their coaches were just terrific. And they got a jersey, and they also got a pair of socks too, by the way. They got a pair of socks, but the kids weren't putting the socks on. That's fine. But the jerseys all look great. The staff at Tim Hortons just did a great job making them very welcome and very casual and comfortable, and gave them all little Tim Hortons hockey sticks, those little plastic mini sticks. And I was sure there was going to be a little mini stick game break out there, actually. I thought there was a Timbit on the floor and somebody was going to start knocking around. It was pretty funny. But anyway, they just wonderful event. It was just such an honor to be there, and to see the families and the parents, and so excited about their kids entering hockey. And Paul, it was a lot of fun. It was great. Paul had a vintage jersey on, by the way. He had a Siskins vintage jersey on. It had Civvy on the
So
chest.
those who remember, Civ Crothers,
Civ Crothers, yeah.
whose daughter actually owns the funeral home in Stainer.
Yeah.
Civ was a major volunteer with the Central Division for the hockey. I say
He sure was,
Western
yeah.
Division. They've named the division the Crothers Division. He actually worked for me, but they had, for a number of years, they had his name Civ on it. And I still, I was able to get the sweater that our company had sponsored and Civ's name on it. So you got the new one, I got the old one.
That's
and,
all right. Yeah.
and it was quite an honor to wear it. So
Yeah, it was
anyways,
great. I wore a Siskins jersey as well, and it was just great to be there. It was really great. Yeah. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. Glad to do that. I do want to mention also on the 27th, big day there, Marty. You know what I did in the morning? You were getting ready for baseball at 1 o'clock. I went to the salmon run. Blue Mountain Watershed Trust had the salmon run coming up the Pretty River right there in the Nottawa Ballpark. The Blue Mountain Watershed Trust set up a big event, and they had activities and games and so on for people to do, but also to had the trail set up to go down to the park or down to the river and watch the salmon actually come up the river. And it was quite impressive. There were some 11, 12-pound salmons making their way up. It was amazing. And, it was really great. They had some sort of scientist type people there that were talking about the fish habitat and how the fish spawn and so on, and what's going on. And they also spoke about some of the young mammals that are going to be found along the riverbed as well. They talked about muskrats have been found there, and beavers upstream further and so on. So it was a really good event. It was well attended, I have to tell you, well attended. And it was well worth going to, right at the Nottawa Park. And my hat's off and thanks to the Recreation Department, because they had our trailer washroom working over there, and it worked great. And I know people appreciated having access to that. I do want to mention, Council, some of you may be aware, some are not. We had a very brief visit from the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Rob Flack was here in our council chambers for a few minutes, and we had about a half an hour or so meeting discussion with members of Collingwood, as well as members from Clearview, myself and the CAO. And we had a very good discussion about housing issues around our communities and servicing and water issues and that type of thing. So it was a really good discussion. It's kind of nice to have the minister here. He was very impressed with our council chambers, I must say. And I told him that one of the big things we did here was make this renovation available for accessibility purposes into the future. And I wanted to remind him, although he's a member of cabinet, that we have applied and applied and applied for grants for accessibility and have not received any money for accessibility year after year after year. And I reminded him, by the way, that he was up on the dais at a bear pit when we had former Councillor Connie Leishman ask difficult questions to the minister responsible for AODA at the time, and we still haven't seen any support. And nevertheless, I advised him that this is why our township leads when it comes to accessibility, and that's why we're doing this here. And so he was impressed. He was very impressed. Just so you know. Shipyard Kitchen Party, sold out concert, Newfoundland Songbook. What do you say? I mean, they just had a great time. All the volunteers at the Station on the Green did a fantastic job. I mean, it was well organized. Hats off again to the Kinsman Club who helped operate their bar down there, and they did a fantastic job. It was a very well run event. It was sold out. It was full. People were laughing and dancing, and just a great time to Newfoundland music. And I did ask that question when I had the opportunity to introduce them, and I'll just say it right here. There are two kind of Newfoundlanders. There's two kind, M's that are and M's that want to be. So it was a pretty funny moment, actually, because they're all just roaring. Everybody wants to be a Newfoundlander at a Newfoundland party, right? Anyway, and thank you, Paul, for mentioning CTV. The little CTV interview we did in regards to the Over the Horizon Radar project, that followed the motion that Councillor Beanan brought forward, and our council, of course, passed it here. The letter that we composed and was sent to our Minister of National Defense, Mr. McGuinty, I believe his name is, and also copied to many other politicians, including Terry Dowdle. Terry Dowdle's office is receiving an awful lot of input and comments in regards to the Over the Horizon Radar project. They did extend the deadline until the 15th of October. Also, the postal strike has put a little bit of a twist in the whole situation as well. Terry Dowdle's office is happy to take letters if people deliver them to his office. Closest one to us here would be in Essa. It's right in Angus. Anyway, you can take your written letter in there. They'll scan it and email it to the minister appropriate if you do not have access to email. So that's a nice thing that he's doing for us. That's about all I have to report, other than I do want to say I'm holding the pen right here in my hand from Timmerman Timberworks. Timmerman, they're down in New Lowell there, Marty. Remember we had a nice little tour of that place? When we were in their boardroom, they showed us this beautiful photograph of this building that they'd built. And I had the opportunity to see it last Friday. It's at Friday Harbor in Innisfil. That beautiful big structure that they built. It was a nice photograph in their boardroom, and I got to see it in person. It was like, wow, it was really cool to see. And I reminded some folks there that this came from Clearview Township, and they're like, oh, we didn't know that. I said, yeah, well, they don't tell everybody they do, but they do it. They do great work all over Ontario, all over Canada. In fact, they've been building things and taking them all over. So But it was kind of neat to see that building all finished. When you get a chance, if you're at Friday Harbor, take a walk through. All right, that's all I have to add at this time. As there's nothing further, any other last minute thoughts? All right, let's carry on. Over to our department reports. Item number 10, Public Works. Okay, this is the long-awaited and heavily worked on update to the township engineering standards. So we have our report here, which includes the appendix. Now, this is a really full document, and it's available online, and it's a pretty heavy reading material, but I have to tell you, it's very thorough, and we're very grateful that this is finally in front of us, Council. I'll read the recommendation, and then we can go to our staff. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township Clearview hereby receive report PW 018-2025. It's the update to the Township Engineering Standards dated October the 6th, 2025. Item 1, that Council adopt the engineering standards document as presented as Appendix A. And item 2, that the following actions with respect to the engineering standards be taken. That staff be directed to utilize the engineering standards September 2025 document in the review of municipal development engineering applications and approvals and design of capital projects within the township. And item B, the staff be provided the authority to update the engineering standards documents regularly to ensure it remains current with best practices, industry standards, and township requirements. Can I get a mover and seconder to put this on the floor? Where are we? Mr. Deputy Mayor, thank you, and Mr. MacArthur. I'll take Mr. MacArthur on that one. Thank you. All right. Dan, would you like to lead off on this? I know that Patty had a huge amount of work in this too, so I'll go to Dan first, please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. And I want to acknowledge the very hard and good work that Ms. Patty Kennedy's done on this project. If it weren't for her, this probably would have taken a lot longer than it has. Several months of diligent hard work by not only her, but other departments within the township have worked on this quite extensively, and it's gone through lots of iterations. And just want to acknowledge Patty for her hard work on this. And she probably knows this document at the back of her hand by now. So I'll let her give a introduction to it. If council has any questions for either of us, we're here to accept.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dan. Ms. Kennedy, congratulations on finally getting this in front of council. This has been a long road. Do you have any comments you'd like to add to the report?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just a quick little update. So the municipality's engineering standards had not been undertaken since 2017. With the funding in place and construction started on the KPR project, along with the proposed developments in Ottawa and Creemore, updating the engineering standards and getting them before council for adoption is a priority. Township staff have worked closely with Burnside staff over the past few months to finalize a document that ensures that construction of infrastructure within the township will be the highest standards. With this update, staff have completed a wholesome review, produced a much more comprehensive document to assist developers and engineers. The document now includes terms of reference documents for standard reports to streamline the process between staff and applicants. We've included a parkland section so that moving forward, there are clear objectives for park construction requirements and developments. With the assistance of planning staff, we've included a section outlining the design requirements for private sites for both commercial and residential developments, along with the requirement for an operations and maintenance manual for private developments to ensure that over the life of that private site, the owners are obligated to maintain the site. This document brings Clearview in line with our neighboring municipality standards and designs. And I hope council is pleased with the final product, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much. Members of council, do you have any questions to this extensive document? I'll go to Mr. MacArthur first.
Yeah, through Your Worship, just wanted to point out on page 281, there's a sentence there, the T isn't capitalized. No, just kidding. Just wondering if through the whole process, if there was any consultation or any opportunity for anybody to look at this and express concerns or give, like, outside of Burnside and our staff, if there's any review period, or was there any review period?
Dan or Patty?
I can take that one, your worship, through you to Councillor MacArthur. The short answer is no. There is no consultation with public or any other stakeholders in this process. Just like they're township engineering standards, so they are standards that we, as the municipality, would like to see how our roads are developed, what fire hydrants we want to use, et cetera, et cetera. But I will say that if there is, once if council chooses to adopt the engineering standards and once they're circulated, if a developer has some meaningful, I'll say input or maybe there's a requirement that is in here that needs to be changed, we'll certainly review that with them as part of their engineering submission. And as it's announced here in the recommendation that this is a living document, we consider it a living document. It's not going to be stagnant. So as staff feels and working with developers or their consultants feel that something needs to change or an addition needs to be made, etc., we'll do that and periodically update council on those changes.
Mr. MacArthur?
And with, excuse me, and with that then is, besides Patty, you highlighted some of the additional context and parklands and whatnot. Was there any other kind of major changes in anywhere else through the document that would have any major impact on developments or infrastructure?
Thank you, through you, your worship, to Councillor MacArthur. These standards are in keeping with all of our surrounding municipalities. I don't feel there is a significant change from our 2017 standards. You'll compare the two documents, you'll see that there's a significant change. Is it any more onerous on the developers than any of our current standards? No, they're just, in my opinion, bringing our standards up to what the surrounding municipalities and best practices for industry are today.
And when, from what that I skimmed through and whatnot, you've left no stone unturned, I don't think. So if you want the answer, if a developer wants an answer, I think it's in there. So, good job.
In fact, there's a section in there about turning stones over that has to be engineered. Paul's got a question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Patty. Dan, I always like it when I hear it's a living document because as a counselor, we always get pushed on things and we always tell people we can change things, we can work with it. And it's always nice to hear when it's a living document because then it knows where you're going to work with us as well. Patty, with the standards, first of all, once we should we decide to adopt them, that will kick in. Do we have applications that will be negatively affected because they're in process now, or how does that work in the transition period?
Thank you, through your worship, to the Deputy Mayor. So we've actually been working with a lot of the consultants knowing that these standards are coming forward. And so we've been talking with them and saying, here's what we think our detail is going to be. So the short answer to that is I don't believe so. I don't think it's going to be any great impact to them. As Dan said, we're here to work with them. We're not here to make it any more difficult for them. But these standards are to ensure that the finished product that the municipality inherits or assumes at the end of the day from these developers is something that's not going to become a maintenance issue for us down the road. And so I don't feel personally that there's anything that's going to change these applications that are in the process, and we'll work with them.
So we'll as soon as we approve this will go into full production, we'll say, or will be adopted immediately. Good, thank you.
Good point. Thank you. Councillor Deneen, I see you've got a card. Is there other members just before? Okay, go ahead, Phyllis, please.
Through your worship, to Patty, it said that they utilize Bradford West Gwillimbury standards as a starting point. Is it the most comparable, relatable in size in rural areas as we are? Because Barrie and Collingwood and Wasaga Beach, they're all way bigger than us. and have a lot less rural area in my, that's my thought anyway.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Deneen. So yes, we did start with Bradford, West Gwillimbury's, but it sort of morphed from there. And we used New Tecumseth, which in my opinion is a comparable municipality with urban and rural settings. We pulled what we felt were the best items from the surrounding municipalities. We took some from Innisfil as well. We chose not to go full tilt into Innisfil's because they actually have a, in my opinion, a higher standard of requirements for their developers than we currently have here. And so I didn't want to overstep that. But to answer your question, yeah, we started with Bradford, West Gwillimbury, but we've taken what I feel the best of the other municipalities into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Other members of council? Seeing none? 1, 2, 3, no, okay. I have just a quick question. Excuse me. In regards to my ongoing comments and my ongoing concern for high weather events, heavy rains, heavy snows, heavy melts, those type of thing. Can you outline, are there anything in there that you have made changes to that would be helpful to protect the road beds that we have? I know we did have a little washout there earlier last year, or this year, whatever. Is there anything in this that's have you focused some of this on this concern that's an environmental concern that's moving forward?
Question. Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, we have. We've incorporated into our stormwater management design criteria climate change. And so the runoff storms have been increased based on the MTO's data and the climate change that they're recommending for the province. So there is a, I think, don't quote me on this, I think it's about a 15% increase that we add on to the criteria.
Okay. It's a rather large document, and like Councillor MacArthur said, skimming through it is the only way we can sort of absorb what this material is all about. So we want to thank you for that, and all of your work to put this thing together. And Dan, and I like the fact that you mentioned that you collaborated with other departments and other department heads, as well as look for best practices in other municipalities to create a document that'll lead us down the road to providing good engineering standards that provide for the safety of our community. So thank you. Yes, Dan, go ahead.
If I may just add right at the end here, Your Worship, if you don't read the whole document, perhaps section A.
Yes.
I would say would probably be the most important. Because you may get those questions, and I know we do a lot on what would the requirement be if you want to submit a draft plan, right? And we didn't have that in our previous document.
Right,
So
I did see that in there.
there
When I
was-
yeah.
So there was, I want to say we're guessing at it, but we didn't have an outline to give somebody that wanted to submit a draft plan.
Right.
This document does that. We didn't have an outline of if you wanted to submit a site plan, this is what you submit. This document does. You want to submit a traffic impact study. We didn't have a terms of reference like Patty had mentioned. We do now. So those questions I think are easier answered now than they were yesterday.
Mhm.
So if you weren't to read the entire document, I don't expect anybody that will. I know I haven't, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I know it's tough.
But section
484 pages. All
Yeah.
right. I challenge anybody to read that in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So section A, I would say would be the
Yeah.
most important, and that would give you a very good outline on the requirements that the municipality is looking for different various applications through the process.
All right. All right. Now, the last thing I'll just comment on, and that was mentioned by the deputy mayor, and that is the idea that this is considered a living document. So if there are new standards that come forward, or there's new practices, or there's brilliant ideas come from other municipalities, this is something that you can bring forward. You can make those type of changes and advise, through our website that there has been a change to the document without having to come through the council process of creating an amendment and et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's the part of this motion that's now presented to us. It gives us that authority to allow you to do that. I would ask, I think it's probably good practice that if you do make changes, that you post it clearly on the website where this document is so that the public know and council can know that there is a change been made. Okay, if there's a change. So I think that that would be something would be a useful tool for all of us, considering somebody might download this whole document and have it sitting on their engineering hard drive somewhere and reference something and not know that it's been changed. So I think that it's important that we sort of track any type of changes and have them clearly transparent for members of the public, members of the engineering community. You agree?
Thank you, Your Worship. Absolutely. So the one thing that isn't in this document that I had hoped there would be a first page, which would be revisions page.
Yes.
That would highlight the revision, the date, and the revision number. Moving forward, yeah, absolutely. So we are going to, on our engineering page on the township's website, have the whole document, but we also will have just the specific sections and the appendices. And when and if there are any amendments or updates, we would most definitely post it on the web, on our engineering page or the web page
Mhm.
through Drew, and update the document itself with a revision note on that
Yep.
revision page. And if there are significant ones, I fully intend to bring a report to council and just update you and give you an idea of what we've changed
100%.
and why we've changed it. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Now, just to back that up, if I can look to the CAO, if perhaps Mr. CAO, if you would support the idea that this be a internal policy of the department, that they would do this and have it tracked. So we have a policy so that future staff members who work for this fantastic department will have that opportunity to follow that policy. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Your Worship. And I would say that basically this is, for the most part, a policy document. And I believe in section A15, it states the township standards are not to be edited unless agreed to by the Public Works Department. So it's written in the document that they can see that if there is something that is pushing up against a standard that reasonably could be changed or something of that nature, I think our folks would be ready to work with people. And I would make one suggestion with respect to the revisions. Maybe there could be a little table outlining how you might do that so they know that if a revision is occurring, where to go and find it. And that may be a part of your consultation, but I'm not sure if it's in the document, but maybe you might want to add a little piece there, might work. It's very well thought through document. Yeah.
It's a very good document from what I've garnered from it, and I'm pleased that it's finally here. I'm pleased for you. Patty, you've been working on this pretty steady, so I appreciate it.
Right. Not just me.
I know. And
All of the other departments, we've been back and forth, Public Works Operations staff, Burnside staff. It's been a
Yep.
journey, but it's been a collaborative journey for sure.
well, you've been captain of the team. There's no doubt about it. So good job.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Members of council, if there's nothing further. All right. We have a motion in front of us with the mover and seconder. I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. Council, we're going to move to our finance report. It's FIN 015. I'm going to ask that we retire to a workshop session in order to complete this motion, as it is an incomplete motion at this time. And so during workshop sessions, we don't need movers and seconders. We just need your suggestions, and we'll work this out to complete these, the recommendation that's in front of you. And what we'll do is once we get a completed motion, then I'll read it again and we'll look for a mover and seconder. So Madam Deputy Clerk, you can record we're in workshop. The recommendation currently says, be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 015-2025. It's the Water First Development Charges exemption dated October the 6th, 2025. Item 1, the council approve a % exemption for development charges for the property located at 8 Francis Street East in Creemore, owned by Water First. And item 2, that the development charge exemption in the amount of % be funded from the tax stabilization reserve. All right, we're in workshop. Council, this is up to you. What would you like to do? Councilor Denis.
Through you to Kelly, please.
Kelly.
Kelly, our tax stabilization reserve funds, where do those funds come from, please?
Through your worship to Councillor Deneen. So the tax stabilization reserve is an annual transfer, and it's done from 1 year prior. And it's based on surpluses that we may have gotten throughout with projects coming in under budget. It's also if we have any return on investments over and above budgeted, those funds go into that account.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Mr. Deputy Mayor, I see you've got a comment.
Thank you. I'd actually like to, I'd like to hear comment from the CAO in regards to what we are allowed to do, because when we brought this to council last time, we needed some direction what's allowed. So I'd ask CAO Ferguson to comment on that.
Thank you. Mr. Ferguson?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through to you, Deputy. The Water First organization is a not-for-profit facility, I believe, for Indigenous community operators, which in this instance, they are charitable. However, it's not considered a non-profit housing project in Clearview or a youth center or a community center. And those are the criteria written associated with the allocation of these types of funds.
Thank you.
All right. Some clarity there. Thank you. Members, anybody else got any questions, comments, suggestions to fulfill this recommendation? Marty, go ahead.
Thanks, Your Worship. They do have a noble cause, but you're setting a dangerous precedent. So I would suggest that we put a 0% exemption. Just because they're in our community doesn't mean we have to give to them. And there are lots of things that we could give to. I think we have to go with 0%.
All right. I've marked down as 0% so far. Looking for other members. If there's any comments or inputs, please. Phyllis, please. Thank you. Councillor Deneen.
Well, I believe that this is the taxpayers' money first and foremost. And although they are within our community, I don't believe that that's benefiting the entire communities that we have here. So I would agree with the 0%.
Okay. Thank you. Are there other members of council looking to fulfill this recommendation? Yes, no? Trying to make eye contact with everybody. Robert, you're hiding John, so I can make sure I can see him. Okay. Paul, go ahead.
Just, it's a real, like, the comment was, it's a real slippery slope here, because if we set a precedent, I really would like to help this business, but tax stabilization, as Councillor Deneen pointed out, and it was mentioned to us, is taxpayer money. So the question is there any place that we can assist, either in grants or something else, to be creative, because it is a significant development charge, and is there anything else we can do that would maybe soften the blow a bit?
Robert?
Your Worship, is it not, there are percentages for exemption already built into our development charges for new
there are.
builds.
Yeah.
So my comment would be that they look at those percentages and see if they can fit some of those into their new build. And that would give them some percentage exemptions off of their development charges.
I believe the brochure is available right here in our lobby. I'm not sure if Derek, have you had a look at that brochure recently in regards to development charge exemptions? I believe it has to do with employment opportunities, gray water recycling, green roof. I think there's some lighting in there. Lighting might be in there, something like that. There's a bunch of items you can do that can reduce your development charges if you follow those guidelines that are in the brochure. You familiar with what I'm talking about? Sorry, I know you're new here.
Just through his immersion. Unfortunately, I'm not aware of that, what you're speaking about.
Right. I think it's on the front counter. Have you seen it, Tammy?
Okay.
Oh, hi, Kelly.
Your worship,
Kelly, I
yes.
need one of those yellow cards.
I actually have one in my office. It doesn't seem to be helping me this evening.
Okay.
We do have it posted on our on our page, on our Discover Clearview page. We have it posted on our website, and there are copies of it available, or they should still be there. And then it's also available online, with the comprehensive one being our development charge background study.
Right.
But you are correct. There are automatic exemptions for different green build initiatives that they could look to.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I'm familiar with that, Robert. And seems to me we've had a couple of companies take advantage of that. Yeah. You know, one of the challenges with development charges, of course, is that this is all about providing funds that we need for the services that we provide. And, you know, if we don't have the funds to provide the services, then we have to literally go directly back to the taxpayer to get the funds to supply those services. So development charges are part of that. If you improve your properties, improve your development, improve a property in any way, there's usually some type of development charge that's perhaps related to libraries, related to parks, trails, recreation services, certainly the fire department. The chief and I were talking about that before the meeting about, you know, many of the assets that we purchase, those rather expensive fire trucks, so much of that is covered by DC charges. It comes in a fund, and that's where those funds come from to provide those services. So if we don't have those funds, we have to go directly back to the taxpayer. Now, that's not to say that the business who's being asked to pay development charges are not a taxpayer. They are, but they are improving their property in our community. So that's why development charges exist. And they're kind of controversial in the development community, but they're a necessary part of doing business. Back to the question, is there anything else we can do beyond the development charges? Looking at Kelly and John, is there anything that we could come up with that could support this organization better than what's been put on the floor in this workshop of 0%?
Through you, your worship. I do want to point out that while going back through the development charge study, I did come across $7,100 that they would be exempt from, and that's with a non-residential build for library and recreation services. So they are getting a bit of a break there. But as you say, going through the background study, going through the bylaw, taking a look at the different exemptions that you can get, whether you're adding employees, you're doing the green roof, those kind of things are available to them as well. So it would mean tweaking what their design was, but in the long run, it might be worth it to them.
Certainly the one that I always remember is the gray water recycling, which, you know, just involves some good plumbing, bit of a holding tank to create that so that you can flush your toilets with water that's come out of your sink, so to speak, right? That's really what it's about. Council, I don't feel we have a complete motion here, so I'm going to ask again. Is there anything more you want to add or subtract to this complete motion? I'm looking. All right. I'm going to confer with the deputy clerk. Then I think what we can do is we can put this motion on the floor with the 0%, and or we can frankly receive this motion without a mover and seconder, and it doesn't go anywhere. What do you
Thank
think?
you, your worship. Actually, a kind clerk prepared me for different scenarios in this case. So by putting in 0%, that would be creating a motion in the negative. So in this case, it's best to just vote it down
Right.
if you're wanting to go with the 0%.
All right. Members of council, are you prepared to go with 0%? Is that where we are? I'm not asking for a vote. I'm looking for your nods because I haven't got a mover and seconder. Is that where we are? All right. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put this as 0, and then I'm going to ask for an amended motion. Council, we're going to go back to regular session now. Here's the motion. I'll need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 015-2025, the Water First Development Charges exemption dated October 6, 2025. Item 1, the council approve a 0% exemption for the development charges for the property located at 8 Francis Street East in Creemore, owned by Water First. And item 2, that the development charges exemption in the amount of $0 be funded from the tax stabilization reserve. Okay, we need a mover and seconder to put it on the floor. Mr. Beelan, seconder. Ms. Mr. Walker? Okay, thank you. On the floor? Very good. I think, if I may speak first, and then I'll pass the chair if necessary, if it feels necessary. I think we should have an amendment that we simply amend this motion to say that we're denying it at this time, and we ask them to work with staff over development charge exemptions that are already available. Madam Treasurer, hello.
I'm sorry.
You want to
Worship.
speak to this first then? I wasn't even going to get to you.
I was just about to start flapping. I just wanted to point out that we do still need to fund an amount from the tax stabilization reserve because the recreation and library DCs still must be funded. So that's $7,189. That will have to come from the tax stabilization reserve.
Okay. And yet that makes the motion not make sense, because if it's 0% exemption, but then we're giving $7,189, shouldn't it be highlighted in there that the recreation exemption as per the bylaw is included?
Yep.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, we would add item 1.1A, that a recreation and, is it library?
Yes. Recreation and library
Recreation
development
library
charges.
DC charges will be applied. Right?
It will be exempted.
Exempt, well, but they need to come from tax stabilization reserve.
They
So
need to come from.
they're not exempt, they're applied. They're
It-
applied from the funding of the tax stabilization reserve.
Correct. It's the wording through the bylaw is the exemption is an automatic exemption. It does still have to be funded, however. It's clear as mud, I know.
Here you go, madam. We're going to call you the clerk now, not deputy clerk. You go ahead.
So I've added it as an item 3 that the recreation and library DC charges will be exempt in the amount of 7,100.
7180.
71,1980.
1980. So that the recreation and library DC charges will be exempt in the amount of 7,119.80. 89.
Good. Does that make sense? All right, so there's items on there that you could consult with the people, with the proponents here, and consult with them on some of those items.
Through your worship, potentially. So I can just high level the non-statutory exemptions or reductions to DCs that could potentially apply to this. So the ones you were speaking about earlier were the industrial commercial use development utilizing green technologies. So there's green roof, which was a 10% reduction, gray water recycling 10%, wastewater pre-treatment facility 20% reduction, and then a rainwater capture and reuse, which was a 5% reduction. So provided their development incorporated some of those technologies, then it could be considered. But I think what they are trying to ask council of are items 3 and 4 on this. So 3 is developments constructed by a charitable or nonprofit organization for a purpose that benefits the community as determined by council may have up to 100% exemptions from DC. So I think that's what their original ask is. And then the other one is developments constructed for uses with a significant community benefit as determined by council may have up to a 50% reduction in DCs. I think those are the two categories that they're seeking the ask for their exemption, not item 5 in this pamphlet, which was the green technologies.
Okay.
I think the test for council is the direct community benefit or a significant community benefit.
Right. Yes, Paul, go ahead.
I think though, refer back to Derek there, what the CAO Ferguson identified were the ones considered community betterment, like a community hall or whatever. Those were the ones that would qualify for DC exemptions. Am I right, John? And so
Yes, through your worship.
we can't read into it these other ones, we have to follow what CAO Ferguson identified. So I still think we have to refer back to the zero situation.
Because I brought it up, and I'm glad you read it more clearly, I think it's interesting that this is an organization that trains water operators. And I think this would be very, forward and leading of them to prepare water recycling in their facilities. I think it would be very appropriate for them to do this type of thing. And I think that would be great to be able to celebrate their 10% reduction in this and 5% reduction in that. I mean, it'd be a terrific piece for them to be able to do that on this job, because it makes sense, doesn't it? That's their work that they do. So I think it would be very, very good of them to design their project in such a way that it immediately qualifies for these type of things. Even the simple 5% by rainwater, gosh, that's not too difficult. Yeah, rain barrel, pipe it in, ends up in your toilet. I mean, right? Okay. Council and Madam Clerk, are we up to date on item number 3 then? We're all good? Okay.
Would you like me to read it out one
How
more
about you
time?
read it all? Because I've already read it twice.
All right, so I have, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 015-2025, Water First Development Charges Exemption dated October 6, 2025, and one that Council approves 0% exemption from development charges for the property located at 8 Francis Street in Creemore, owned by Water First, and that item number 2 be striked to be replaced with that the recreation and library DC charges be exempt in the amount of $7,119.89, and that Water First continue to work with staff to look for other sources of funding available.
Thank you, Derek, for looking that up online. That was good. Okay. Yes, sir.
I believe I'll declare a conflict for your next item.
Oh, okay. You've got a conflict. Yes. Great. Good. Thank you very much. You turn off your mic. All right. We've got FIN 016, property purchase for 243 Brock Street. Recommendation, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 016, 2025 property purchase for 243 Brock Street, Stainer. Dated October 6, 2025, item 1, that council directs the CAO to formally advise the township's real estate agent of council's official approval of the purchase of the property located at 243 Brock Street, Stainer, in the amount of $75,000, $750,000, in accordance with the agreement of purchase and sale. And item 2, that council direct the treasurer to secure financing through a TD loan for the purchases and upgrade of 243 Brock Street and 7308 Highway 26, amortized over 20 years with an initial term of 5 years at an interest rate not to exceed 5%. Okay, moved by Mr. Broderick, thank you so much. Mr. MacArthur, thank you. Through the CAO and through the clerk or treasurer, Madam Kelly McDonald, how are you? I need a glass of water here in a minute. Go right ahead, Kelly.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I can speak to any of the financial implications on the report, and CAO Ferguson would be the best to speak to questions on the actual purchase.
Eric, do you want
to? Thank you, Your Worship. I could add a few things. We haven't finalized everything as of yet.
Yeah.
You had some questions this evening at the start of council asking about this particular process where it was actually appraised by a certified Canadian appraiser. It's slightly over the appraised value, but that was the lowest acceptance of the property owner. And so it's a slight percentage above what the appraiser had appraised, albeit we're looking to actually remove the building. And it will be, the goal is to turn the entire property at some point into a parking lot. And it's meant to be a part of a greater plan for this particular area. And we're working on that, and I can't disclose what those plans are at this time. But in respect to the property, it's critical as it relates to development in order to ensure that you have a certain number of parking spaces.
All right. It's also interesting to note that council does own a sliver of land immediately to the east of it, which is currently a trail slash sidewalk that goes over to Brock Street. And so that parcel, that plus this parcel, plus the neighboring parcel creates a significant body of land that then will give opportunities for this township. And I think that's why this was an opportunity that was presented, and that's why it was in front of us. Members of council, do you have any questions to our treasury? Or yes, Mr. MacArthur, go ahead.
Through you, your worship, to Kelly, you state here in the details, an interest rate not to exceed 5%. Is there any concern that that won't happen or can't happen?
Through your worship to Councillor MacArthur, none whatsoever. When I checked in the day I finished this report, is it's 4.1, and they have dropped. So I fully expect it to come in well under the 5%.
Okay. So we're around the 2.5 or something. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Walker, you're next.
Two things, your worship, just also to enlighten that the back of that property does tie in with the current purchase of the Stainer Care Center. So it does complete a drivable loop in through that center and through that area. So that is another reason why. The other question I have is is there any chance of anything being there that Habitat for Humanity can come in and take before it is removed? I'm just wondering if that's an option, if they're into that, again, if they're into that or not, I'm not sure. Habitat for Humanity does that still or not. So I'm just throwing that out as a possibility. If there's something available that they could utilize, that they could get in first and get it out.
It's an excellent idea. Perhaps Mr. CAO, you could comment on that.
I think it's a great question, your worship, and we'd certainly have to take a look because we will be renovating. And as such, we'll be taking things out of that building. It could be some doors, could be windows, could be appliances, et cetera, that might be of interest. We can certainly look at that when we get to that point in time.
Yeah. Additionally, the property we're speaking of right now, which is 243, there may be things there too that might be part of that. So, okay, well, let's just keep that in mind. And, you know, better there than going in the landfill. Okay. Nothing further from members? All right, then we've got a mover and seconder, and I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That carries. Thank you. And welcome back, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Okay, this one is the Administration Department. CIO has got a report, Climate Action Advisory Committee request for emergency preparedness report in regarding weather events. I know that Briar is here. She's our staff representative who liaisons with the committee. And so that's great. Briar is perhaps available to help answer some questions. And I think there's a couple of members here that may be available to chip in if necessary, but we'll put it up to Briar for now. Recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township Clearview hereby receive report CAO 011-2025 Climate Action Advisory Committee request for emergency preparedness report weather events dated October 6, 2025. Item 1, that Council, in support of the recommendation from the Climate Action Advisory Committee, direct staff to prepare a comprehensive emergency preparedness report addressing the Township's readiness for weather events. Item 2, that this report be presented to Council with staff identifying possible opportunities for the Climate Action Advisory Committee to support weather emergency preparedness initiatives for the Township at a future meeting. Okay, is there a mover and seconder? That would be Ms. Deneen, thank you, and Mr. Beelan, thank you. Hey, Briar, nice to see you. Thank you for waiting. If you've got anything you want to add in regards to the report?
Yes, good evening, Mayor Measures and members of council. As the staff representative on the Climate Action Advisory Committee, I have submitted this report as per the committee's motion at their September meeting. The committee has requested this report summarizing departmental emergency response plans due to weather events. The committee's goal is to identify and understand challenges in these plans that the committee can support. These may include volunteer recruitment for warming centers, community education, or other actions that will focus on community preparedness. I will defer any further comments or questions to Kim Pickett and Jim Campbell from the committee here tonight.
All right. We'll stand by. If there's any, stand by. Stand by. If there's any questions. Well, just to be understood, during this part of the meeting, we don't take members from the public or even from our committees unless we call upon them. So we always go to our staff for these type of things, but I know I'm glad you're here. Members of council, do you have any questions to Briar or the representatives from the committee? Yes, Paul, go ahead.
Briar, have you made any or made contact or utilized the Simcoe County staff, or are you this is something you're looking towards? We just hired, if I say it, the mayor, 2 new emergency management people, which are supposed to take care of 8 municipalities. There's 16 communities, 1 takes care of each 8. And this is an addition to the staff. So if you're not aware of it, we've got staff that are going to work with us, or through the county. So they're, if the Climate Action Committee focuses a certain way, they're meant to help us. And I think, Scott, you've worked with them a bit already? Scott has, if you want to add to that.
Thank you. Through your worship, that's correct. I did hire 2 staff this year to take on training and compliance for the municipalities. They haven't yet taken on emergency preparedness, but from what I understand, that's the plan for next year. So potentially going forward, emergency preparedness will be done in part with the county.
So can we be facilitating this as well with our climate action?
I'm still working through this report on what the actual ask is, but realistically going forward, the committee will have to work with the township and the county if they want to get involved.
All right, thank you. Other members? Yes, Mr. MacArthur.
Yeah, through your chair. To the chief, I believe you're the head of our emergency preparedness now, correct? Yeah. So in this bit of a preamble that they've stated here and reasons why, how much of this do you feel is already covered in our prepared plan that we have now?
Through your worship, we do have several plans in place already, obviously. The major one being our emergency response plan that's all encompassing for emergency events. Now, in that plan that's been adopted by council is the municipal emergency control group, which is every department head in this room. And one of the 15 requirements that we have to complete every year is to go through training exercises to identify the gaps in preparedness. So, and the fire department has our establishment bylaw that states the services we provide during emergencies. Public Works has road standards policies. So they're all there.
And whether emergencies are part of that? Or a big part of that?
They're a big part of it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other members of council? Other members? All right. I've got a couple questions then, if I can. First of all, for Scott, and then certainly for members of the committee, I've got a couple questions too. Scott, Scott, by the way, is our fire chief, also the community emergency management coordinator for the township of Clearview. So Scotty, preparedness is something that we all have to do, both from this table as the council, as well as your senior management team, your colleagues, and then you and your firefighters from your leadership right down to your recruits. Everything is about being prepared, correct? So you're tasked with the role of being that chief who's in the middle of all that to keep the training level high, the awareness level high, and also aware of any events that could develop. I think earlier tonight I mentioned about the BESS project, and as this evolves, if it comes to our community, it will fall underneath your radar of responsibility for a potential hazard. Am I wrong?
You're correct.
Thank you. So, Chief, as your role, our emergency preparedness for weather events, which is a section of our emergency plan, as well as the fire master plan, it's a section of it. Can you just outline for us just a couple of highlights that come to mind that you know that our firefighters are trained to activate and to operate in emergency preparedness for weather events.
Thank you through you, your worship. As we all saw, well, this spring in the ice storm, and we had emergency shelters open every corner of the township. Public Works, they had their policies in place, they got the roads cleared. Now, emergencies, specifically weather emergencies, you don't know where they're going to happen, what it's going to be. And that's the point of having a control group that gets together if there's an EOC activation, even if there isn't, to talk about how to mitigate that emergency. If we're talking about flooding, we have water rescue teams, we have inflatable boat. If there's roads that need to be cleared, well, we have chainsaws in Public Works. So the ask of the committee, I just want to be clear on what that ask is. Are you looking for what equipment's available? What type of emergencies are we responding to? Things like that.
I appreciate that. And certainly, like anyone else who lives and works around here, we've noticed that there has been a change in weather patterns. You can call it climate change, or you can call it just the warming of the planet or the cooling of the planet. Either way, there's a change in the fact that the storms become very dynamic quite quickly, and we can have long periods of nothing and long periods of wind and rain for hours. So as that changes, you and your staff and your firefighters are very aware of those changes and know our community inside out, to the point that you know where the areas are that could be impacted if we had flooding. Obviously, we know about the Mad River. It's a well-known thing, and we also know a little bit about water creeping up from the Mad River into downtown Creemore. Right? It's happened just in the last couple of years. We also know that ice buildup, usually the main cause of that, but there's also preemptive measures that can be done by working with the NVCA and or other agencies to help keep the river clear at the end of the fall, so that any rocks or debris or logs, you get those things moved so that the water keeps moving. So between the Public Works Department, Ottawa Valley Conservation Authority, and firefighters and their awareness of what potentials can be, do you feel we're pretty well handled here? Like, we've got an understanding about the weather responsibilities that fall underneath the municipality, right?
To your worship, that's correct. I do feel we are in a very good spot for preparedness. And as a community as a whole, just going back to the ice storm again, of the hundreds and hundreds of homes we visited and families, most of them said, we're fine, go check on someone else that may need it. They have their generator set up, they have their supplies. So it goes to show, in a rural community, you're used to it. You know how to live in these communities. And it was nice to see how prepared our community was. Some people had no power for 2 weeks, but fortunately, the township can't do anything about that.
Yeah. Well, that speaks well about our community. I'm going to pause my questions because I saw Phyllis put up her hand. So I'm going to go to Councillor Deneen next, and then I'll come back if I may. Go ahead, Phyllis.
Thank you, Your Worship. Reading through it, I really appreciate the recommendation and asking for this, but I think it's a little preemptive when I'm hearing that we haven't gotten to the point where the new employees have had time to do something or have not been directed to do an emergency preparedness report. I like this though. With staff identifying possible opportunities for the Climate Action Advisory Committee to support weather emergency preparedness initiatives of the township. It would be nice if you guys at a staff level and with the County of Simcoe got something together for the Climate Action Advisory Committee to review, and at that time they could come back and maybe look at that, and you could identify what they could possibly, the opportunities for them to help out with. I think this is a little preemptive, and I don't know if we need to defer it for like a month or so, or what time frame you think there might be to come back with a report for the Action Advisory Committee?
Uh, To your worship, I totally agree with that statement. There are opportunities for the committee to work with the CMC, myself, and the township departments. Like, there are opportunities to help. So I think that is a more appropriate ask at this point.
All right, thank you very much. Paul has something else he wants to add?
Thank you, Phyllis. I sort of tweaked me a bit when you're talking there. What I'd love to see, I mean, we're talking about it from a municipal point of view, but what about our public point of view? Is it something that we should be looking at doing? I won't call them training sessions. I'd like to refer them as information sessions, um, to inform the public of recommendations for climate action and emergency preparedness. Like they're talking on the news the other night about it a bit, and getting people to rake their lawns just to get rid of it to avoid fires. Cutting branches so that you don't get to fall in your houses. Stuff that you can do to prepare. And I think, if we identify what our climate action committee, finds, can work with through what you recommended, bring it to the public. Let's look at going to town hall meetings or whatever. So Phyllis, you're pawing at the ground there. So
No, just that the Climate Action Advisory Committee could have open sessions for people, or um, just put, maybe we could give them some room at the back page of the Echo and put something in there, or something to that effect. Like help them out with that, and they could help with us with the wording for it and putting it out to people, like social media, that sort of thing. It's just a thought. I still think this is a little bit early for that until County of Simcoe and, well, Scott could come up with something almost instantaneously for them, what we're doing already. It should be written down somewhere what's going on, and just add to that in addition to.
Thank you, Councillor Deneen. Good foresight right there. I like your comment about the back page of the Creemore Echo. That's been something that I've been looking at quite a bit, and I've mentioned it to my CAO or our CAO a few times. If I may, does anybody else get any questions? I want to continue on my discussion with the chief because I wanted to get to the point that I was trying to make. And I appreciate you giving me the patience to ask you some questions about our preparedness level and our awareness factor, and the fact that, you work with senior managers who are from all departments who are very aware of what's going on in our community. And I think that preparedness level continues every single day. But I would point out that specifically about the municipal assets and corporation that we're looking after. You've mentioned it a few times when we had the ice storm, got to get those roads opened up. Do that. Got to get those roads opened up, which we did. And the roads department did everything they could to get roads open up. We had some that were not able to because of hydro lines, but we got them open. So that's the municipal asset part of emergency preparedness from the municipality. To my friends in the of the committee, and also Councillor Beelan, and to Breyer, the piece that I think this council is looking for is something that you could do for the property owners to learn about emergency preparedness at their own homes. Much like the deputy mayor said, cutting some trees around, moving some leaves. These type of things, we need to get out there a little more so that they can deal with, the public can accept and understand that the climate is changing and that the municipality supports them in the fact that education is a valuable piece of this. And looking after your own property is a really important piece. And so I think the solution to this ask from your committee is that I would suggest that you have a workshop session, perhaps even hold the meeting of your committee in the training room at the fire hall. And these guys can give you a really good outline as the preparedness level that they have for the municipal level. And then that'll help gel some ideas about what the citizens need to do to prepare themselves. Now, drainage has always been a big issue to me. That's what I'm always concerned about. Dan and I talk about it often. I bring it up here at this table a lot. And that is something that we have to spend real money on, real taxpayers' dollars, on getting those ditches open and getting culverts replaced and making sure that we have ways of moving water through our community without causing damage and flooding. You know, we're not about to reroute the Mad River going through Creemore. But what we got to do is always look at ways to mitigate how to fight that flooding issue. So I think that there's an opportunity here for this committee through Councillor Beelan and through our staff to come up with a workshop session with the very capable CEMCs that we have here, as well as those from the county if they wish to contribute, and really understand the responsibilities that we have as a municipality to look after the municipal assets. And then the responsibilities we're extending to look after the public's properties by giving them education. Because we can't go and empty somebody's eavesdropping. Like, that's not what we're going to do. We're not going to go and cut down trees around somebody's house using taxpayers' dollars to help them protect their, you know, they have to invest in those things themselves. So that's where I was getting to, Scott. Do you have any idea, or do you think that you and your team could come up with a good seminar for this group for a 90-minute presentation?
To your worship, that was actually going to be my suggestion, is that I meet with the committee to get the ball rolling here.
Yeah.
And just give them an outline of what we do, what we can do, and then just start the process there.
100%. I think we need to share exactly what we can and cannot do. Phyllis.
And we have new engineering standards too, don't we, Patty, for this? So these things have to be outlined as well for mitigation and flooding and erosion. They're all there. So that needs to be included. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You know, I really, really hope that the volunteers understand what I've been asking, and I hope that this helps, because we have to, as a municipality, we want to have this Climate Action Advisory Committee, and we want to give them an opportunity to make a real impact here that helps the community. And this is one of the best ways we can do this, because weather affects us all. It's been an absolutely stellar week this week. The weather's been perfect. T-shirts and shorts have been appearing again this week. And yet, just the other day, I saw one of our trucks going down the road with the full plow set on. And I thought to myself, our guys are ready. I did. I saw him going out, and he was driving down the road, and it was like 29 degrees out. I thought, perfect. Maybe he's doing a test drive or something. I didn't know what he was doing, but I saw him. So I thought it was just, you know, it just struck me that they are being prepared. Dan, just a quick question, just for interest's sake. How long take to put a plow set on the front of one of those trucks if you had to do it? If it wasn't on it, it would be on it in half an hour?
Kind of twofold, your worship. If it has the plow harness already attached.
Yeah, of
then
course. It's on
then
it all year round.
But the harnesses, some of the harnesses come off some of the trucks,
Yeah.
but harness takes half a day to put back on, and the plow takes 25 minutes, half an hour.
25 minutes. So if a lot of our trucks carry the harnesses
They
on them
do, yeah.
all year round. So in 25 minutes, I can have the blade on there. You know, another 20 minutes, I can have the truck loaded with salt and sand and be on the road. So it's, you know, an hour's work. They can be on the road delivering service if necessary. So where our fire trucks can respond in 5 minutes. Right on. Phyllis is back in again. You know, Phyllis,
Forward.
you just leave your mic on. You go right ahead.
Can we, even though we're not on the committee, sit in on Scott's presentation?
See any reason why not?
That would be nice.
I would imagine.
And then they wouldn't have to put it, well, we'd understand it when it does come back to us then.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's probably not a bad idea. In the meantime, we do have this motion in front of us.
Your worship.
So, yes, go ahead, Dan.
If I may, your worship.
Yeah,
Sorry,
please.
sorry to interrupt.
Oh, it's all right. You and Phyllis just jump right in anytime.
But I, you know, as the conversation has evolved, and perhaps I can attend the meeting as well if we coordinate it. But certainly experience has shown through climate change and some of the items that come up during the years on maintenance issues as well with property owners and homeowners is just that, is maintenance of not only their property, but some of the maintenance on municipal property as well that abut their property, as far as the the reason why we trim the trees in which we, in the way we do. So that's a direct impact to the, not only the climate, but the maintenance of the municipal right of way. Why do we do that? Why don't we allow snow to be pushed across the road or push them off the end of your road into the culverts? Discussion on drainage. So I think things like that would also be beneficial. So I think the whole discussion is really good, and having a workshop of some sort would be very beneficial, and offer some of those ideas to the committee that they can sink their teeth into.
And then from that, I would suggest, Briar, that would create a campaign of information items that we could communicate using our communications channels, including the back page of the Echo, and perhaps even a spot on our website for a full review of some of the things property owners should consider. I like the point about the trees being too close to houses. I have to say, when the fire department shows up at a fire, they're always talking about the word exposure. What's being exposed? Is there another building? Is there a neighboring property, or is there a car or something? And yet the tree itself is the exposure and is sitting there, going to go right up and fire right next to a house. Like, it just adds to the fire. So, yeah. Where do we go, members? We've got a motion here in front of us, which is pretty comprehensive with a lot of asks. I'm just wondering what council would like to do. I think that all of that is good, with the exception of, I'm not sure that we need to prepare a comprehensive emergency preparedness report, given that we have a very good qualified CEMC that does this, frankly, at least one day a week. He concentrates on this. So I'm not sure where that goes. So I'm just looking to council for their thoughts. Yes, Paul.
If we were to amend part one, the council in support of the recommendation from the Climate Action Advisory Committee hereby directs our emergency management staff to work with the Climate Action Committee to prepare a direction, or whatever you want to, we call it that.
Prepare a meeting or a workshop meeting?
Prepare direction, which may include a workshop.
Okay.
We'll let them figure out how to do it with Scott.
Briar, do you want to add anything on there? What do you think the committee would say, or do you want to ask the committee members if they want to jump up? Come on up. Never turn down the opportunity to speak at a mic.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. I just wanted to explain that I think when you look at our mandate as a committee, it's dead simple. There's two elements, right? Community preparedness is one, and the other is reduction in CO2s. What we were looking for really is a baseline, and it wasn't so much, I'd say, the opportunities, although we're always interested in what staff have to say and things like that. But it's just like, okay, what's out there now? And a book that we talked about is about the Fort McMurray wildfire,
Yeah.
and how the departments work together and things. And so we're just trying to understand not only the departments, but in that case, the equivalent of Ontario Hydro came in, and these emergency hubs, and how those team leaders work together, but also where it fell apart. And they had fire crews that had no communications. Nobody knew what they did. So they learned a lot. And I think what we were interested in is knowing this baseline, and very much to your point, I think, is that community aspect, like to maybe even look at community hubs. And I appreciate that there's warming centers and everything, but our township's big and empty. The warming center did, nothing for somebody in, up in the hill or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So of maybe both understanding what the township has, like what's the baseline, so that we're not duplicating ideas and things like that, learning what staff and things, what they'd like to see and things, and maybe of looking at opportunities, because we have some really, I think some great committee members that have
Yes.
a lot of experience on multiple fronts. It's really interesting,
Yeah.
our committee. And, you know, it could be something, Kim came up with a great document, I think, of a whole bunch of opportunities. And, you know, one that really struck for me is this idea of community nodes where, you know, where I live out in the country, and I've got, you know, 2 or 3 neighbors that are in their 80s or 90s. And, you know, and the ice storm happened, but we didn't have our community there in the 10th line didn't have a setup. Thinking, who's checking on Sheila?
Right.
Right? And eventually it happened and people came around with, you know, chainsaw teams and things like that. But I think that's the type of thing would be interesting to encourage communities to do. And that's one very small element. And I think Kim should speak.
Go ahead, Kim. Yeah.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Worship. I think first, it's important to note that Clearview has always done a bang-up job in emergency preparedness. I've been here long enough to have lived through several snow events. The most recent that I can recall was when we were stuck in Stayner for 2 solid weeks because of snow squalls in December of 2010. And everybody had a place to go. Everybody was checking up on people. However, that was 15 years ago. We've got a lot of new bodies that have come in. We're not all, you know, people that have been here for generations. And I'm wondering how often, you know, the people that came up from Brampton a year ago, do they know where our warming hubs are? Do they know where to go? Do they know who to talk to? So that was really more our focus, was what can individuals in the community do? Although we did, as Jim said, we ourselves need to have a baseline of some sort of knowledge to know exactly what's going on. I know what's going on in Stayner. Everybody knows what's going on in Stayner. I couldn't tell you what Creemore does. I couldn't tell you what New Lowell does unless I talked to Marty for 5 minutes. So like we all, as much as we're trying not to be in our little segments, we all live in our communities and we all live in our own little bubbles. And in order for us to be advocates for the township, we need to know what the whole township is doing. And that was more of our ask, as opposed to, it kind of sounded with some of the comments that we were sort of saying that we weren't prepared. We think as a whole, we're pretty prepared. We just want to know where the gaps are so we can help the residents be even more prepared. That makes sense.
I think you've nailed it right there. We are prepared. We're a municipality. The municipal staff focus on the municipal assets. The fire department and the public works department are the 2 departments that are probably more facing to the public when it comes to these type of urgent issues, right? And they know, all of the staff in both departments, they know that there is a great deal of expectation that our staff in both those departments are going to provide them with some help. Right? If there's a water outage, like we're right there to help. We're going to find water. We're going to get bottled water. We're going to, you know, those things are all going to be in a plan to make it work. If there's a, you know, a major hydro outage and major hydro things that, you know, people are going to be without hydro on a super cold night. We have facilities that are nearby in any of our communities that can be activated as a warming center. So we're kind of fortunate in that way. And you know what, just as a side, it's interesting, you know, there's people in our community who want us to get rid of our small halls. I don't want to get rid of our small halls, folks. It's pretty obvious. This discussion is about that. All of our halls are available. All of our halls have volunteers that are nearby that can open those doors at a moment's notice, even without hydro, because you're going to drag a generator over, plug it in, put the coffee on, you know, like keep people comfortable for a period of time. You can't sustain them for weeks on end, but we certainly, you know, if we had a major disaster, we would rely upon the province of Ontario, which by the way, are creating a whole new program about the Ontario Corps, it's called. And the Ontario Corps is all about a group of volunteers, and they have all their different assets that skills that they have, search and rescue people, you know, water rescue people, all these volunteer organizations that are there across Ontario that can be deployed to help any municipality anywhere. And during the AMO conference, I had a great conversation with the minister responsible for Emergency Preparedness Ontario, and she's quite impressed with Simcoe County and how Simcoe has really pulled together on this. So my point is that you hit it right on, because I see the great work you guys are doing as a committee and through Marty and through our staff, that you're representing that citizen side of the equation. While we are focused on the municipal assets, the citizen assets need to be supported. And this is why I go back to drainage and flooding. Flooding affects citizens, right? Yeah, it can wipe out a road, but it can also go right across somebody's field and right across their property and cause them all kinds of damage. So, you know, that's what's always been on my mind. So I get it. And I think that this is good conversation because this is exactly where I would hope this committee continues to push. We want to help citizens be prepared. We want to help citizens understand what greenhouse gases mean and how it fits into the equation. We want to get them to understand that you have to meet your neighbors and understand who they are. Because if you have a senior citizen living next to you, but you didn't know who they were because they moved in just recently, that you should find out. You know, you should at least know that, you know, you should want to look out for those people, right? So all this is really good. Do you accept the idea of having a joint meeting / workshop with the fire department and learn a whole lot from them?
I think since they sent Jim and I here and the rest of the committee didn't come.
Sure, yeah.
We can wholeheartedly agree to that. We were looking for documents to read, but it'd be way easier if you just tell us.
Yeah, I think our intent really was to get report, or not complicated, we weren't looking.
I understand.
And then have the report, so let's say the report from Scott, and then following that, have a meeting. So that we knew what we were going into, and to have like a jam session and, you know.
I get it.
Of look at it like that. So that's the report, was again, that foundational thing. And the next step was the workshop, was the intention.
But I think we can probably kill two birds with one stone and just answer our questions during a workshop. I think that
Perfect.
makes a lot of sense.
I think that's great. I'm glad that we're having this discussion, guys. I really am. I think it's great. First of all, Phyllis is throwing her yellow flag at me here. Gonna get her a towel next to throw it at me. So anyway, go ahead, Phyllis.
I'm just going to take it one step forward or further. Hydro 1 liaison, EPCOR 2, the OPP. We need to talk to all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. And I think you'll find that the resources, as the deputy mayor pointed out, the county of Simcoe people have all those liaisons worked right out. And if you ever meet Grant Dumfrey, he's the manager responsible for emergency preparedness at the county. The guy's super energetic on this stuff. He's all in. And by the way, he does talk about properties. He doesn't just talk about the municipal things. He talks about the properties. So it's kind of interesting. He's a good guy. All right. Thank you. Thank you for presenting. Thank you, Briar. We have an amendment that's coming from our clerk. So somebody else got more to say? No? Do you want to say something else? Okay. Paul, did you have something else? Okay. Members of council. Thank you. All right. Our clerk has an amendment. You want to read that for me?
Okay, so the amended motion we have is be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report CAO 11-2025 Climate Action Advisory Committee's request for emergency preparedness report, and that council direct the Climate Action Advisory Committee to plan a workshop session to include members of the fire department and members of the public works department to identify areas where the committee can help educate the community on ways they can prepare for weather or emergency related events.
I think you need to add.
So that council direct the Climate Action Advisory Committee to plan a workshop session to include members of the fire department and the public works department to identify the assets available and current plans in place, and identify where the committee can help educate the community on ways they can prepare for weather or other emergency related events.
I like it. Members of council, are you comfortable? The movers and seconders, are you guys comfortable with that? Thank you. All right. Then we've got a friendly amendment. Nothing further? Phyllis, got anything else you want to add? No? Okay, thank you very much. I'll call the motion then. All in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. I'm not trying to pick on you, but I thought that was funny, the way you were pretty enthusiastic. I'm not picking on you. Come on now. All right. Stainer nomination for the Hometown Takeover Canada. All right, this is kind of neat. They've been nominated. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report CAO 012-2025 Stainer nomination for the Hometown Takeover Canada, dated October the 6th, 2025 for information. Mr. Walker, cool. Mr. MacArthur, thank you. Hi, Briar. Hometown Takeover.
Yes, thank you through you, Your Worship. This is an opportunity to nominate our community for something that would be a major step forward in Stainer's downtown revitalization. The Hometown Takeover Canada is seeking small towns with populations of less than 20,000 to restore and enhance on a very basic surface level. If selected, this would include beautification and rejuvenation of key community spaces and commercial areas. With the support of council, we would also be leaning on community and service groups to share information and identify collaborations that would set our nomination ahead of other communities.
Right. Excellent. Members of council, do you have any questions? Nope. I look at this as if it's successful, it sort of complements our community improvement plan that we have that many businesses in the downtown core have already taken advantage of. So I guess it's a great thing. All right, members of council, thank you. We've got mover and seconder on this, so I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you, Briar. Thanks for bringing that forward to us. That's great news. Council, at this time, there are no bylaws to pass, except for the confirmatory bylaw, which is later on. So it's kind of nice. There is item number 12. I want to bring to the attention that there's an item on here that was brought forward by Councillor Walker. We're going to talk about it at the next council meeting. It is in regards to the traffic light situation at 100 Grand Trunk Road, which is where Highway 26 and Grand Trunk Road meet each other right in front of, surprisingly, our fire hall. And I just wanted to advise Mr. Walker and members of council that the letter was sent to the minister, or the MTO, directly to Minister Sakaria, I think it is, mispronounce his name. The minister has received it. I know that the MPP, Mr. Saunderson, has reviewed it as well. I have not had any contact back directly from the ministry's office, but I do know that members of the ministry staff who've been working on this have been emailing back and forth between our staff and engineering and so on. And the good news is everybody's pointing in the direction that this traffic light should go in place. We're just waiting for the MTO to give us the clearance that this traffic light will go in place. So we'll look forward to debating this on the 20th, if necessary. All right. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Council, nothing? Yes, you want to say something?
Yeah, the question to Dan, in that.
Remember, we're not debating this.
No, I just have a question. Are sidewalks going to be included along that road anywhere? On Highway 26?
Through your worship, there are no plans to put a sidewalk on Highway 26, no.
So they're going to have people who want to walk from the community to go around the back way. Is that the intent? Like I just see I just see kids on bikes going the fastest way they can to get there. I'm really surprised that no.
Yeah.
We've had two big buildings, the care center and now this, and I'm really surprised we don't have sidewalks of some form. And
Good news is the bus goes there, the transit bus.
Yeah. But you know yourself, your worship.
I know.
What we had on Mowat Street last year, we put a little walkway in, was the best thing we ever did.
Absolutely.
Just for everybody to use. So anyways, thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, council, in front of us, we have the confirmatory bylaw. So it's be it resolved, the bylaw 2556 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the October 6th, 2025 council meeting be presented and read a first, second, and third time finally passed on the 6th day of October 2025. Moved by the green card, All right, he's got a green card over here now. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Counselor Deneen is the mover. Mr. Beelen, will you be the seconder? Thank you very much. Confirmatory bylaw. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries. That brings us to a motion that I think could take us hours to debate. Council, this is the motion to adjourn. It could take us hours because as a result of this being our last meeting with our deputy clerk, Krista Pasco, we are so grateful for the input and the work that you've done here to help us. We're very thankful that you worked with us, and we wanted to put this on the screen just so you could see that we are wishing you the best as you head off down the highway. That a great looking picture like that right there. I think that looks pretty good. So Krista, all the best. We are going to miss you, but you are certainly in our neighborhood. And I think we've all enjoyed working with you for sure. And I know that your career will have many milestones, and I hope that we're one of the strong ones for you.
Thank you.
Well done, Krista. Now the microphone's yours. Would you like to say anything? Come on now.
I just want to thank.
Come on,
all
Emma,
of
get
you
that camera on her. Let's go.
Well, yeah. Council, staff, and the community here in Clearview is just amazing, and it was an honor to work here for the last 2.5 years, and I'll miss you all very much. So thank you for
so much,
everything.
Krista. You've done great. Thank you so much. All right, council. So I'm not sure how long you want to debate this motion. Is there anybody else who wants to speak? Yeah, Marty. Yes, Marty. Hello, Marty.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I was just informed that if people want to buy a no DVD radar in Clearview, D&D, sorry, sign, they're available at GV Graphics. You can buy one there. That's what I was just told.
Just put that into your ward report last minute. Thank you. A little job for the clerk to do as she finishes her day. All right. Anybody else got anything else you want to debate? Want to talk about? I'm just saying, we could keep her here as long as you want. Anybody got any surprise motions? Do we need to have a recorded motion for this last vote? No. I'm teasing you, and I appreciate you being here. I know Sasha enjoyed working with you too, so good job. Members of council, the adjournment is at 8:35 p.m. Mr. Walker, thank you. Mr. Broderick, thank you. No. I would ask Krista, you can call the all in favor, please.
All in favor? Motion carried. Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night.